Chapter 3254. Boom. On the other side of the ground, a human figure rushed out. It was Ziyuhao. At this moment, Ziyuhao's entire body was charred black. He was in an abnormally sorry state. To be honest, until now he was still dumbfounded because he did not dare to believe that the other party could actually suppress him with a slap. How was this possible? Who was the other party? How could his strength be so much stronger than his? Damn it. Careless, I must have been careless. Ziyuhao's expression was incomparably ugly. Purple demon heaven shaking steps. Ziyuhao roared angrily. The aura on his body erupted as he took a step forward. Immediately, a mysterious power appeared in the void, causing the entire world to shake. Lin Xian instantly felt that he was enveloped by a mysterious power. His body trembled slightly. The most frightening thing was that his heart was trembling violently as if this step was going to crush his heart. Not only him, the dark red divine dragon and the 8 treasures snake who were fighting at the side also felt it. However, the two of them only felt the aftermath of the energy. Lin Xian was the first to bear the brunt of it. Kid, be careful. This guy is very strange. The dark red divine dragon who was fighting at the side in the distance quickly reminded. The 8 treasures snake was also shocked. Damn it, another human expert had come. However, from the looks of it, these 2 human experts were fighting at this moment. It would be best if both of them were injured and died together. And he only needed to kill the dragon in front of him. Kid, your physique is strong, but what about your internal organs? I don't believe that you can withstand my steps. Ziyuhao's hair was disheveled and his body was covered in blood. He was really angry. So this time, he would not let the other party off. He took a few more steps. Immediately, Lin Xian's heart rang like a bell. The corners of Ziyuhao's mouth curled up into a smile. This was a kind of great divine ability. Coupled with his law fragments, its power was boundless. His steps could shatter the other party's heart from a distance. The other party's physique was strong, but the other party's heart would definitely not be able to withstand it. Lin Xian also frowned. What a strange divine ability. It could actually affect his heartbeat. Indeed, if it was other half-saints, their hearts would probably have been split open under these steps. They would have vomited blood and died. However, he was different. Harumphing coldly, Zhang Xian drove the great dragon sword soul within his body, and a surge of sword intent tore apart the fearsome attack. Lin Xian's heart calmed down again. I have to say, your divine art is very unique, but it doesn't seem to have any effect on me. Lin Xian was expressionless. Damn it, how is this possible? Ziyuhao's eyes widened in disbelief. Even a veteran half-saint would be injured by his footwork. A weaker half-saint would directly explode and die. But what about the other party? The other party was completely fine. This was simply too unbelievable. Who the hell was this kid? While he was puzzled, Lin Xian understood. Since you've used up your sacred art, then you should have a taste of my sacred art. He stomped his foot and charged forward like a god of war. He formed a seal with his palm, and the image of a mountain appeared. It was a giant flaming mountain that was tens of thousands of feet tall, and covered in terrifying laws and flames. As the palm fell, a mountain of flames descended from the sky, as if it wanted to suppress the other party into a bloody mist. Not good. What a terrifying power. Ziyuhao's expression became extremely ugly. He could only wave the short knife in his hand to block. However, after 10 moves, Ziyuhao's body exploded, turning into a bloody mist. The half-saint blood filled the air, and pierced through the void. Soon his body reassembled. His face was extremely pale, but as soon as he reassembled, he was split apart by a sword. At this moment his entire body was numb. The sword chi that split him was too cold. His body could not completely heal. Although it was reassembled, if one looked carefully, they would find cracks and a vacuum. Who are you? Who the hell are you? Ziyuhao screamed crazily. He was about to despair. The other party was too powerful and had completely surpassed him. Suddenly he remembered what the other party had said before. Lu Mu and Yan Nantian had to retreat when they saw him. Damn it! Could it be that this guy is also a top expert on the ranking list? Who are you? Could it be that you are Zhao Wuliang? He screamed crazily. No, Zhao Wuliang was about the same as Yan Nantian. He couldn't go down Yin Nantian. Could it be that you are Long Zhaotian? Long Zhaotian was ranked second. If it was really him, then it might make sense. Moreover, it was rumored that Long Zhaotian was also related to dragons. The kid in front of him had a dragon by his side, so he was more and more convinced that the other party was Long Zhaotian. Heavens, he actually provoked the other party. Long Zhaotian was ranked second on the ranking list, second only to Di Ling. Thinking of this, Ziyu Hao trembled for a while. What Long Zhaotian? I am Lin Wudi. Lin Xian snorted coldly, his eyes bursting with a biting cold light. Not Long Zhaotian. Ziyu Hao was stunned. Why was the name Lin Wudi so unfamiliar? No, he seemed to have heard of it. Where had he heard of it? Ziyu Hao's brain was working very fast. Suddenly, his body trembled, and he almost knelt on the ground. It was his Lin Wudi. Recently, on the ancient Starry Sky Road, a piece of news swept like a storm. There was a new change in the Abyss ranking list. A newcomer had climbed to the top and was ranked first, tied with Di Ling. Ziyu Hao remembered that person's name. It seemed to be Lin Wudi. Ziyu Hao's entire body was drenched in cold sweat. He actually provoked the #1 Abyss ranking, and he was still arrogant in front of the other party? He wished he could slap himself to death. So it's young Master Lin. I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I hope young Master Lin can forgive me. How about this? I don't want the octatic treasure snake anymore. When I fought with young Master Lin before, I will also take out a certain amount of heaven and earth treasures as compensation. Please spare my life, young Master Lin. Ziyu Hao hurriedly begged for mercy. He had no choice but to lower his head. Otherwise, with the other party's strength, it would be very easy to kill him. When the octatic treasure snake sensed this scene, it was extremely shocked. Its huge eyes flickered with a trace of shock. What was going on? One of the humans was begging for mercy. That was impossible. He sensed that the purple-clothed youth who came later was very terrifying and had a monstrous aura. However, such a person was actually begging for mercy. Could it be that this red-clothed youth was even more terrifying? Thinking of this, his face became incomparably gloomy. Damn it, when did such a terrifying existence come to their elven forest? Could it be that he was here specifically for it? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He didn't say anything, but in the next moment his expression changed. The sword chi on his body soared into the sky and instantly enveloped him. At the same time he said, "Ruffian dragon, retreat quickly." As soon as he finished speaking, the sky collapsed. A green light streaked across, and countless ghost faces charged toward them. The dark red dragon instantly roared, and its dragon blood surged. Chapter 3255. Lightning was the bane of evil beings. It should be able to block the ghost face. Sure enough, when the green ghost face landed on Lin Xian's sword chi and the dark red dragon's lightning, it emitted a sizzling sound. It was ruthlessly destroyed and pierced through. On the other side, the octatic treasure snake also spat out a terrifying poison to resist. Ziyu Hao also tried to block, but he was still a step too slow. Among the 4 people present, his strength was the weakest. In an instant, he was enveloped by the ghost face. In an instant, the green face entered his body. Ziyu Hao struggled, his expression becoming ferocious. The light in his eyes disappeared, replaced by a wisp of green light. Ziyu Hao was controlled, becoming a puppet. Damn it, it's you. The octatic treasure snake screamed crazily, its voice piercing through the clouds. It was that thing again. Lin Xian had seen it before. However, at the same time, they were even more shocked. Could it be that the octatic treasure snake knew him? Seeing this immortal descend. You still don't kneel to pay your respects? An ethereal voice sounded from the void. It was from Ziyu Hao's mouth. At this moment, Ziyu Hao's entire body was surrounded by green light. He was no longer the young prodigy from before. Very clearly, he had been possessed by something. Damn it, you still haven't given up. The octatic treasure snake was as if facing a great enemy. Its body was surrounded by laws. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon frowned. The dark red dragon even snorted coldly. What immortal? In this world, there was no such thing as an immortal. Indeed, even great emperors could not become immortals, so how could there be true immortals? It was only a legend and a wish of people. Ignorant ant, how could you know of this immortal's existence? The mutated Ziyuhao snorted coldly. Green light appeared in his eyes. It streaked across the dark red dragon's body, and then stared at the octatic treasure snake. Have you thought about what I said? The octatic treasure snake's expression was gloomy. Humph, you dare to threaten me with just a clone? You want me to be your clone? Dream on. It seems that you really don't know life from death. If it wasn't for the eye of time maturing, do you think you would have lived until now? What was the eye of time? Lin Xian was puzzled. The dark red dragon god's pupils shrank. Could it be that the legend was true? He stared at the octatic treasure snake, his face full of shock. The octatic treasure snake's expression was gloomy and cold. If it was your true body that came, perhaps you might have succeeded. However, you are just a mere clone. Do you think you can do anything to me? Don't even think about getting my eye of time in this lifetime. As for your main body, you probably won't be able to come out for the rest of your life. What immortal? He was just a body of energy trapped by someone else. What was going on? Lin Xian asked with a frown. Before the dark red divine dragon could speak, the mutated Ziyuhao's gaze shrouded the two of them. And two more ants? Fine, I'll kill the two of them first, then I'll slowly play with you. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and a monstrous light transformed into a storm that swept toward Lin Xian and the dark red divine tornado. Ruffian Long Long, you continue fighting the octatic treasure snake. Leave this fellow to me. Lin Xian soared into the sky. Sword light revolved around his body, making him look like a sword immortal. Seeing this scene, the dark red divine dragon turned its head and stared at the octatic treasure snake. A trace of disdain appeared in the octatic treasure snake's eyes. What an idiot boy. He actually dared to fight against such an existence? To be honest, he didn't dare to fight against the other party. If it wasn't for the fact that the other party's main body couldn't come out, he probably would have run away long ago. Now Lin Xian actually wanted to fight against such an existence. In his opinion, he would probably be instantly killed. The mutated Ziyuhao sneered in disdain. A mere human ant dares to be arrogant in front of me. With a wave of his hand, a green seal appeared, instantly enveloping Lin Xian. With a boom, Lin Xian was sent flying. Seeing this scene, Ziyuhao coldly snorted. An ant had been dealt with. Next was the other one. He blocked the dark red divine dragon. Just as he was about to move, a voice came from below. Is this all you have? Is this all you have? You dare to call yourself an immortal? You didn't die? The mutated Ziyuhao turned his head, revealing a trace of surprise. Below, Lin Xian flew over. His robes fluttered, but he was unscathed. Interesting. It seems that your physique isn't bad. You're relatively strong even among half-step saints. You can actually block my attack and come out unscathed. However, do you think that you can contend against me like this? You really don't know the meaning of death. As he spoke, he waved his hand. Immediately, 3 seals covered the sky and covered the earth. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The metal law formed a sword of light and slashed down. With a poochie, the 3 seals were split apart. Not only that, the sword of law was split apart by the other party's body. Great, it was split apart. Lin Xian revealed a smile. However, the broken body on the other side quickly reassembled and reappeared in front of him. I'm an existence that can't be killed. I'm a high and mighty immortal. You're not my match at all. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Xian instantly slashed out 10,000 rays of sword qi, turning the other party into a bloody mist. However, the bloody mist quickly reassembled. The other party looked down condescendingly, sneering at the scene. Just like that, the other party's body was broken more than 10 times. However, each time, it quickly reassembled. This made Lin Xian frown. The dark red divine dragon also exclaimed. This was impossible. Even a half-step saint would be injured if his body was continuously broken. Wouldn't his vitality be greatly damaged? How could the other party be unscathed? Ha 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 ha, I've said it before. I'm an immortal existence. The mutated Ziyuhao didn't attack at all. He floated there, allowing Lin Xian to attack him. Every time he was broken, his body would reassemble. This scene made one feel despair. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. An immortal existence? How could this be? How could there be an immortal in this world? Even a great emperor couldn't survive the passage of time. However, the other party's current appearance was indeed surprising. Could it be that the other party had an immortal bloodline? He knew that there were many miraculous physiques in the universe. For example, he and the sage physique both had strong physiques and powerful strength. There was also the Tao physique, which was born with the Tao and could use the laws to great effect. There was also the spirit physique, which could instantly increase one's cultivation. Of course, there was also an immortal body, which was the other party's amazing recovery ability. No matter how serious the injury, it could instantly recover. Lin Xian guessed that the other party might have such a physique. Of course, there was another possibility, which was that the other party's recovery ability was extremely strong. It wasn't because of the bloodline, but because of the laws. For example, the North Demon had the wood laws. His recovery ability was extremely shocking and terrifying. Now he also had the wood laws fragment. Coupled with the longevity art, his recovery ability was also extremely strong. Lin Xian guessed countless possibilities in his heart. Although he didn't know which one it was, it all showed that the other party wasn't an immortal. Since he knew this, he was fearless. Was the other party's recovery ability strong? Then he would beat the other party until he couldn't recover. A cold look appeared in his eyes. The dragon sword soul in his body instantly roared and circulated. Chapter 3256. He possessed the great dragon sword soul. 1. Lin Xian once again condensed the sword of law and poured the power of the great dragon sword spirit into it. On the opposite side, when the mutated Ziyu Hao saw that Lin Xian still wanted to attack, he suddenly sneered. It's useless. Even if you do it 1,000 times, or even 10,000 times, you can't hurt me. His actions towards Lin Xian. He was extremely disdainful. However, in the next moment his expression changed. He discovered that this time around his shattered body was actually unable to heal. Between his body and his body, there were small cracks that separated Yi's body from the rest of his body. How was this possible? Unable to heal? The mutated Ziyu Hao was stunned. Green light burst out from his eyes as he stared at his own body. At the same time, green light blossomed from his body, completely enveloping him. Whoosh! Finally, he forcefully suppressed those cracks, and his body healed once again. However, his expression had become somewhat unsightly. At the next moment he screamed. He saw the other party's sword slashing at him, and his body was shattered again. Each piece carried a terrifying sword will, causing him to be unable to heal for a while. Damn it, this is impossible. Who are you? What kind of sword energy is this? How could it be so strange? The mutated Ziyu Hao screamed like a madman. He realized that if he wanted to heal his body again, it would be very difficult. He had to erase the sword chi on the cracks, but the sword chi was very strange and difficult to erase. Thus, when he healed the second time, his complexion had already turned pale, and the green light on his body had also become much dimmer. You're just SOSO. What immortal? In my opinion, you're just a little stronger in terms of regenerative abilities. Other than that, there was nothing special. Lin Xian sneered when he saw this. His sword chi earlier contained the power of the dragon sword spirit, which was why his opponent's body couldn't heal. If this was a real immortal, this bit of power would have been incapable of doing anything to him. At present, however, this immortal was clearly having a very difficult time reassembling himself. This meant that the other party was not an immortal at all. Perhaps he was not even a saint? The other party was at most a half-saint, and only had a vigorous life force. Other than that, there shouldn't be anything else. If it had been any other half-saint, they might not have been able to do anything to Zhang Xian. However, Lin Xian was indeed his nemesis. Damned brat. The mutated Ziyu Hao's face was ashen. As for the octatic treasure's snake, it was extremely shocked. How could this be? He found it hard to believe that the other party was able to restrain the monster. One must know that when he faced that monster, he was only able to suppress it with his overwhelming power. Even so, he was only able to suppress its clone. Furthermore, even if he were to destroy the clone, it would likely not affect the main body that was hidden in the depths. Thus, the octatic treasure snake was not willing to contend against such a monster. In its opinion, no one could truly restrain it. But now a human kid seemed to have done it. Damn it, kid, go to hell. The mutated Ziyu Hao seemed to have thought of this as well. His opponent's sword chi was very strange and was a threat to him. He would not allow such a person to exist in this world. Thus he had to kill him. A sharp cry sounded out as terrifying rays of light shot towards Lin Xian from all directions. They were densely packed and contained terrifying power. Get lost. Lin Xian coldly shouted. Sword chi erupted from his body, directly piercing through those green ghost faces. Those ghost faces shrieked in the air. As for the mutated Ziyu Hao, his expression was extremely ugly. He was unable to get close to his opponent. It seemed that his opponent's sword chi could be released in large quantities. This was definitely not a good thing for him. Since he was unable to attack, he could only attack from afar. He let out a sharp cry. The countless green ghost faces in the air also let out sharp cries. This was a soul attack. He wanted to use soul attacks to directly destroy his opponent's soul from a distance. Lin Xian coldly snorted. He continued to wave the great dragon sword soul. Terrifying dragon-shaped sword chi swept out in all directions, destroying those soul attacks. Damn it! How was this possible? It could actually destroy soul attacks? The mutated Ziyu Hao was extremely shocked. To tell the truth, there were very few things in this world that could restrain him. Furthermore, from his point of view, those things had most likely been lost in the ancient era. How could they exist now? But the current situation made his hair stand on end. Could it be that something had truly appeared that could restrain him? Damn it! Eternal annihilation. Ziyu Hao did not continue to attack Lin Xian. Instead, he let out a furious roar and soared into the sky. Energy rapidly surged from his body. The terrifying energy grew larger and larger, enveloping a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. Not good. Seeing this scene, the octatic treasure snake was frightened out of its wits. It hurriedly fled back into the cold pond. Lin Xian also frowned. The dark red dragon cried out in alarm. Damn it, this fellow wanted to self-destruct. Did he not want to live anymore? Lin Xian's expression was grave. This should only be a clone. Even if it died, the main body would not be able to cause much damage. However, the power of this self-destruction was too terrifying. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He did not plan on letting his opponent self-destruct. He had to stop him. With a loud bang, the great dragon sword soul within his body roared crazily. Lin Xian condensed a sword of light in his hand. All sorts of laws gathered on it, and he slashed forward. At the same time, the ball of green energy above him exploded, enveloping a radius of tens of millions of miles. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. The dark red dragon also screamed. This was already equivalent to a half-saint self-destructing. Moreover, it had absorbed enough energy to self-destruct. The power was too terrifying. The sword of light in Lin Xian's hand instantly transformed into the shape of a dragon. He roared, "Ruffian dragon, hurry up and help me pour energy into it." The dark red dragon poured all its energy into Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian let out a long roar and poured all his energy into the great dragon sword soul. Then he slashed forward. Boom. Everything within tens of millions of miles was completely destroyed. Countless forests collapsed, and the void shattered. It was a scene of apocalypse. Lin Xian and the others were crazily swallowed by this energy. After a very long time, the terrifying energy gradually faded and disappeared. Two figures fell from the void, and they spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood. Damn it, this energy was too terrifying. Why did it feel like a half-saint self-destructing? The dark red dragon's body was charred black. Dragon blood dripped down, and it grimaced in pain. Many cracks also appeared on Lin Xian's body. He circulated the law of wood and the longevity secret art. At the same time, he swallowed heavenly treasures. The cracks on his body were quickly healing. With the strength of the 9-yang divine body, he survived. At the same time, his eyes were filled with a hint of seriousness. It was too terrifying. Fortunately, he had used the great dragon sword soul to split open the most important energy. Otherwise, that ball of energy would have definitely been a threat to him. No half-saint would have been able to survive. Damn it! What the hell was that thing? The other party's clone was already so powerful. Why was his life force so strong? Chapter 3257. The dark red divine dragon looked around. Endless primal chaos had already appeared in the surroundings, and the cold pool had long disappeared. The octatic treasure snake couldn't have been blasted into a bloody mist, right? Could it be that there was no residue left? The dark red divine dragon was stunned. Then it cursed loudly. Damn it, that's my favorite prey. Forget it, there are many treasures in this elf forest. At most, we'll look for other natural treasures. Lin Xian originally wanted to comfort the dark red divine dragon, but he still glanced around. Suddenly he was slightly stunned. In the next moment, he activated his heavenly secret divine eyes and stared below. There was originally a terrifying 10,000-year-old cold pool there. However, at this moment, the cold pool had long been reduced to ashes under that energy. In the endless pit, there was a huge monster. It was the octatic treasure snake. At this moment, the octatic treasure snake was torn into pieces. Blood and internal organs flowed all over the ground. It couldn't be more dead. Even its soul was destroyed by this energy. This shocked Lin Xian again. It seemed that it was really dangerous. Those below the saint realm probably couldn't survive at all. In fact, even saints would be injured in this energy. Fortunately, he had the great dragon sword soul to cut through everything. But soon, Lin Xian was stunned again. What was this? He saw a shocking scene. Buzz. With a wave of his hand, an endless storm rushed out and wiped out the primal chaos below. Then, the corpse of the octatic treasure snake was revealed. The dark red divine dragon also saw it. He cried out in surprise. Great, I finally found it. He wanted to put away the corpse of the octatic treasure snake, but in the next moment he was also stunned. His eyes were wide open in disbelief. Below, the corpse of the octatic treasure snake was torn into pieces. On the corpse, there was a scarlet eye that slowly rotated. Extremely terrifying patterns appeared in that eye. They were incomparably mysterious. With Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon's current understanding, they couldn't see them clearly at all. However, although they couldn't understand those patterns, they saw a shocking scene. The octatic treasure snake's originally broken body quickly reassembled. In the next moment his body trembled, and a piercing light erupted from his eyes. The aura on his body also suddenly erupted. What's going on? It's alive? How is this possible? Didn't he die before? That's not right. Lin Xian clearly sensed that the other party's soul had already been destroyed. One had to know that if one's physical body was destroyed, one could still be reborn from a drop of blood. If one's soul was injured, one could also use a remnant soul to recover. However, if one's soul was completely destroyed, one would be dead beyond words. In such a situation, even a saint would not be able to revive. But why would this octatic treasure snake come back to life? Could it be related to the red eyes? He stared at the 8 eyes on the octatic treasure snake's back. One of the eyes slowly closed. It was the eye with the mysterious runes flowing around it earlier. It was already completely closed. Now, only the 7 eyes were shining. It was still scarlet like a ruby. What was going on? The dark red divine dragon looked as if it had seen a ghost. Damn it! Could it be that the legends were true? Impossible. Was there really such a divine ability? Ruffian dragon, what do you know? Lin Xian asked. He felt that the dark red divine dragon should know something about the situation. The dark red dragon took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "The Eye of Time. The Eye of Time. What was that?" Lin Xian was curious. This was not the first time he heard about it. The green monster from before seemed to be targeting the Eye of Time. Could it be? Was it the 8 eyes on the octatic treasure snake's back? The octatic treasure snake was an ancient beast. It was rumored that the 8 eyes on its back contained the mysterious power of time. The power of time. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. Time was the most mysterious thing. Ordinary people could not control it. Even great emperors might not be able to control this power. However, the octatic treasure snake actually had such strange eyes. Could it control this power? Time was indeed the most mysterious thing. As an ancient beast, the octatic treasure snake's 8 eyes were known as the Eye of Time. They could reverse time and return to the past. However, each of the 8 eyes could only be used once. For example, although the octatic treasure snake was already dead, he could use the Eye of Time to reverse time to when it was still alive. In this way, it was equivalent to him being reborn. As for the eye on its back, once it used this power, it would be permanently healed. It would never be able to open again. Even if it was dead, it could still live. This was equivalent to having one more life. Lin Xian was extremely surprised. The octatic treasure snake had 8 eyes on its back. This was equivalent to having 8 more lives. This was too monstrous, right? This was simply an immortal existence. That's right, it was indeed equivalent to having 8 lives. But this power also attracted the attention of powerhouses. Countless years ago, the octatic treasure snake was hunted down by a peerless powerhouse and was finally destroyed. In the myriad worlds, there was no longer an octatic treasure snake. He did not expect to be able to see one here. It seemed that his luck was really good to the extreme to be able to encounter the octatic treasure snake. Could it be that you had the idea of getting the Eye of Time before? Was that Ziyuhao the same as before? Lin Xian asked. The dark red divine dragon shook its head. No, I had the idea of getting the octatic treasure snake, because of its bloodline. I think that Ziyuhao was the same. The Eye of Time was too strange. It only existed in legends. In ancient times, the octatic treasure snake had already disappeared. Therefore, no one thought that the things that were passed down were true. Just like immortals, it was just a legend. Therefore, no one would specially look for the octatic treasure snake for the Eye of Time, right? If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe that you really have the Eye of Time and can control the power of time. It seems that you know quite a lot. At this moment, the octatic treasure snake below completely recovered. He raised his huge head and snorted coldly. His cold eyes stared at the dark red divine dragon and Lin Xian. Since you know that I have the Eye of Time, then hurry up and get lost. It's impossible for you to kill me. Indeed, the other party still had 7 eyes of time, which was equivalent to having 7 lives. He was indeed an immortal existence. Boy, do you want to make a move? The dark red divine dragon asked. Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a biting cold light. He was definitely going to make a move. Obtaining the Eye of Time was equivalent to obtaining 7 more lives. This was definitely a huge temptation. Not to mention him, those saints would probably go crazy. Even the great emperors would definitely disregard everything and come to kill the octatic treasure snake when they heard this news. Damn it! When the octatic treasure snake heard this, it was instantly enraged. It opened its mouth and spat out poisonous gas that filled the sky. Its entire body turned into a ray of light and instantly tore through the void, heading into the distance. Damn it, don't think about running. The dark red divine dragon slashed out thunder that filled the sky, shattering the poisonous gas. At the same time, it bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it flew out. Chapter 3258. He transmitted his voice. Ruffian dragon, don't kill him. You have to capture him alive. Otherwise, if he uses up the Eye of Time, it'll be useless for us to capture him. I know. But brat, what do you want to do? Even if we trap him, if he goes crazy and destroys the Eye of Time, we won't be able to obtain it. I naturally know. Not only do we have to capture him alive, but we can't let him resist at all. Because if he resists, he'll be able to activate the Eye of Time. Of course, we can't let him die. Because if that happens, the Eye of Time will be activated. Are you saying that if we don't kill him, we'll let his soul live without consciousness? The dark red dragon exclaimed. Could it be that you want to use an eye technique? That's right. Lin Xian nodded. He took a deep breath. Little White, I'll leave it to you later. Yeah, no problem. Just leave it to me. Little White nodded, looking very confident. Lin Xian and the others increased their speed. The dark red dragon directly controlled the laws of clouds and wind, mobilizing the space within a few million miles. A cage was formed around them, blocking their path. The octatic treasure snake went crazy, attacking recklessly. However, it was still blocked for a moment. During this period of time, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon caught up. Little White, go. Before the octatic treasure snake could react, Little White transformed into a streak of light and instantly disappeared. When it reappeared, it was already in front of the octatic treasure snake. Its furry claws slapped the octatic treasure snake's huge head. The octatic treasure snake fainted. It only lasted for 3 seconds, but this was enough for Lin Xian. He could activate his eye technique thousands of times. He formed hand seals, and the heavenly secret divine eye was activated. A pair of golden eyes appeared above his head. They were incomparably cold like a god. The octatic treasure snake couldn't resist the little white monkey's dizziness. The heavenly secret divine eye was mysterious and strange. Under Lin Xian's full power, the octatic treasure snake couldn't resist the eye technique at all. Hence, the octatic treasure snake directly entered an illusion. Lin Xian didn't directly plant a slave imprint. He was afraid that the octatic treasure snake would resist and cause some uncontrollable situation. He let the octatic treasure snake be in the illusion, and then slowly guided it, so that he would automatically treat Lin Xian as his master. This process was very slow, but Lin Xian didn't care. Anyway, the other party was in an illusion, and the time inside was not the same as outside. Lin Xian could adjust the environment at will. Next, he got the dark red dragon to set up a few array formations to completely envelop the other party. Then they were sent into the black earth. Now that time was tight, Lin Xian had no way to set it up. Once things settled down, he could set up an illusion array and place the octatic treasure snake inside. Or periodically he would use his eye technique on the octatic treasure snake. In short, as long as the octatic treasure snake continued to sleep like this, Lin Xian released the octatic treasure snake for the time being and took a deep breath. Kid, where are we going next? The dark red divine dragon asked. To find the mysterious green monster. You want to find that guy? No way, that was too risky. Weren't we going to look for the wood Dao stone? That's right, it was in that guy's hands. Previously, when Lin Xian used his eye technique on the octatic treasure snake, he had discovered some information from the other party's soul. Among them, it was related to the mysterious green monster. After all, that monster was too terrifying. Even the octatic treasure snake was afraid of it. Therefore, the information about the green monster in the other party's soul was very obvious. Lin Xian instantly captured it. From the information, he learned that the green monster had a wood Dao stone in its hands. In addition, the other party's origin was mysterious. That was why it had such a vigorous life force and was almost immortal. Since he knew that the wood Dao stone was in the other party's hands, Lin Xian had no reason not to go. Moreover, although the other party was powerful, his great dragon sword spirit could restrain the other party. Therefore, Lin Xian wasn't afraid of the other party at all. The wood Dao stone was actually in the other party's hands. When the dark red divine dragon heard this, it was also extremely surprised. Since that was the case, what were they waiting for? Let's hurry up and go. Lin Xian and the others quickly flew deeper into the forest. 3 days later, the three of them stopped. Lin Xian frowned. He looked around with his heavenly secret god eyes. It was right ahead. Lin Xian said. The dark red divine dragon held its breath, and Whitey also quieted down for a rare moment. Who was it? Lin Xian and the others had already arrived in front of them. They let out a low and hoarse voice. Instantly, countless terrifying rays of light appeared around them. The surrounding trees seemed to have come to life and attacked Lin Xian and the others. With a boom, the dark red divine dragon's body swayed. Endless thunder pierced through all the tree demons, forming a vacuum. The ground was charred black. Lin Xian walked forward. There was no forest blocking the way ahead. There was a ball of green light floating in the air, constantly changing into various forms. Damn it, it's you. You're actually not dead. In front of them, the ball of green light let out a sharp roar. It was too shocking. Impossible. The self-destruction of his clone was enough to destroy any half-saint below the saint realm. How could the other party survive? It seems that you don't know everything. There are some things that you can't know at all. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The other party didn't even know why he was alive. It couldn't be. He ignored the other party and looked around. Because of the conversation between the octatic treasure snake and the other party, he knew that the other party's main body seemed to be unable to come out. It could only be in the depths. What was the reason? He had to figure it out. Soon he narrowed his eyes because he seemed to have seen through it. The dark red divine dragon also said that there was a peerless formation around them that suppressed everything. It was probably specially targeted at the other party. We can come in, but the other party probably can't get out at all. Lin Xian nodded and raised his head to look at the green ball of light that was still shrieking in shock in front of him. Hand over the Dao Stone of Wood, and I can spare your life. What? You're here for the Dao Stone of Wood? The green ball of light was stunned. Then it screamed. Damn brat, how dare you have designs on me? How despicable. The green light kept changing. Then it turned into a green-robed man. The green-robed man's face was pale, and his eyes were cold. They were like the eyes of a venomous snake as he stared at Lin Xian. After he appeared, he gave off a powerful aura. Go to hell. The palm emitted a terrifying aura and instantly arrived in front of Lin Xian, wanting to suppress him. Lin Xian sneered. Sword chi surged on his body and poured into the power of the great dragon sword soul. He slashed out and immediately split the other party's palm. It's useless. I can restrain you. Your attack can't pose any threat to me at all. In fact, if I want to kill you, it won't be difficult. Lin Xian's voice caused the green-robed man's expression to turn incomparably cold. Brat, do you think I'm so easy to kill? You don't understand my methods at all, ignorant ant. Next, I'll let you know the consequences of provoking me. Chapter 3259. Buzz. The green bell began to ring, and a terrifying sound spread in all directions. The dark red dragon's body trembled, and countless cracks appeared on its body. Even Lin Xian's body was the same. Cracks appeared. But soon Lin Xian roared. An endless light erupted from his body to repair the cracks. The dark red dragon screamed. Damn it, it's so terrifying. How can the two of you be a match for me? The green-robed man laughed. He would attack the bell in his hand. Suddenly, a terrifying shattering sound came from the void where Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were. Damn it, what kind of weapon is that? Why does it feel like a sacred artifact? The dark red dragon was frightened, and it struck out a sky full of nomological laws to resist the attack. Lin Xian's face was gloomy, and a piercing cold light burst out from his eyes, enveloping the entire space. With his eye technique, he could clearly see the traces of every attack. In the face of such a terrifying attack, he did not dodge. The great dragon sword soul in his body roared, and countless sword chi rushed out, accompanied by the power of the nomological laws, slashing forward. Green Lotus 13 swords. 13 sword chi streaked across the sky, and terrifying nomological law fragments spread out. A huge flower of sword chi shrouded the entire space, cutting off the void. There was a violent collision in the space, and the green bell's attack all collided with the sword chi lotus. The sword chi lotus also erupted with dazzling sword chi, and the two collided in the air, erupting with an unparalleled light. Buzz. At the same time, the dark red dragon came to the side of the green-robed man, and as it waved its dragon claws, countless thunder condensed, and its claws pierced through the green-robed man's body. Boom. More than half of the green-robed man's body was shattered. However, it instantly recovered to its original state. At the same time, he struck out with his palm, forcing the dark red dragon to retreat. It's useless. I've said it before, I'm immortal, and you can't hurt me at all. The green-robed man's eyes were filled with disdain. Damn it, what a strong recovery ability. The dark red dragon's face was gloomy. At this moment Lin Xian said, Ruffian dragon, let me attack. You restrain him. Okay. This emperor understands. The dark red divine dragon nodded. He knew that Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul could restrain his opponent. The dark red dragon continued to roll, and the clouds in the sky condensed, bringing with them terrifying nomological laws. They surged forward, and even formed an array formation around them. It was a wind-thunder array. This formation was mainly used to restrain the enemy. The green-robed man sensed that his surroundings were filled with fog. A formation had enveloped him, cutting off all his escape routes. It was so much so that the terrifying thunder seemed to want to tear him to pieces. Formations, I hate formations the most. The green-robed man's face was cold, and a terrifying green light rose from his body. It turned into a large green palm and grabbed forward. This palm was very terrifying. With a crushing force, it blasted onto the wind and thunder array. The formation shook violently, cracks appearing on its surface. Damn it, this guy's strength is so terrifying, and his research on array formations is so profound. The dark red divine dragon frowned. He could tell that this palm strike wasn't done casually. Instead, it had struck the weakest point of his array formation. From the looks of it, he had found the flaw in an instant. This was an array formation expert. The dark red divine dragon was shocked, but he soon understood. This green bubble man must have been studying array formations for thousands of years in order to escape. His attainments in array formations must be very strong. His guess was right. This green-robed man was trapped here by a peerless array formation, and he wanted to get out for the rest of his life. Therefore, he had been studying and breaking this array formation for countless years. His attainments in array formations were terrifying. At this moment, he had almost shattered the wind and thunder array set up by the dark red divine dragon. However, the wind and thunder array wasn't the main attack. His goal was to restrain and even confuse the enemy. In a corner of the array formation, a figure rushed over, and a terrifying sword light pierced forward. This person was Lin Xian. At this moment, sword qi revolved around Lin Xian's hand, swallowing a terrifying power. In an instant he arrived in front of the green-robed man. Scram! The green-robed man shouted coldly. He didn't take it head-on. Instead, he activated the green bell beside him and blasted it forward. It seemed that he wanted to blast Lin Xian away. Boom! The two collided, and a piercing light burst out. The green bell blocked the sword. Kid, it's useless. You can't hurt me at all. Seeing this, the green-robed man's lips curled into a cold smile. So what if the other party was powerful? He used a Dharma treasure. He didn't need to do anything to stop the other party. Is that so? Do you think you're saved? Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. Although the other party blocked his sword, the distance was too close. Could the other party block all of his sword qi? Boom! The energy in his body exploded, forming a monstrous force that covered the area in front of him. The bell was also shaking nonstop, shooting out rays of light that filled the sky in an attempt to block the attack. Although the bell was powerful, Lin Xian's sword qi was even more terrifying. Its attack power was unparalleled. Therefore, although a small part of the sword qi was blocked, there was still a lot of sword qi that pierced through the bell's attack and arrived in front of the green-robed man. The green-robed man was shocked, and his face was filled with fear. Cold wind. His sleeves rolled up countless green rays of light, forming a light screen in front of him. However, his light screen was soon pierced through. Not good. The green-robed man's pupils constricted, and his body swayed, turning into an illusion. Lin Xian's sword qi was too much. Although he dodged some, he couldn't dodge all of them. At the critical moment, the green-robed man could only defend himself again. Boom! He was hit by countless sword qi and was sent flying. This is great! The dark red divine dragon revealed a smile. The green-robed man was sent flying, but soon he landed on the ground and was bounced back. The surrounding array formation isolated him, making it impossible for him to get out. The green-robed man who was bounced back had his qi and blood in turmoil, and his expression was ugly. He was sent flying by the other party. Damn it! How dare you injure this immortal? This immortal will kill you. The green-robed man walked over, gritting his teeth. The murderous aura around him was astonishing. At that moment, the surrounding void quickly shattered. It was obvious that the other party was really angry. Humph! Lin Xian attacked again. In the sky, 36,000 rays of sword qi quickly rushed into the sky, forming a huge sword qi lotus that rotated above Lin Xian's head. Countless light swords flew out from it, piercing through the void with the power of laws. Countless law light swords pierced forward, forming a sword domain that enveloped the other party again. These light swords were too terrifying. They contained the power of the great dragon sword soul, and the power of law fragments. They contained the law of metal, and were extremely sharp. They contained the law of fire and were extremely violent. The law of earth was heavy and seemed to be able to shatter everything. The law of water, on the other hand, was incomparably bizarre and pervasive. Chapter 3260. The green-robed man had just returned and was furious. He did not expect the other party to attack again. This made his lungs about to explode. "You're courting death." With a furious roar, he counterattacked crazily. Puff, puff. However, the green-robed man's body was pierced again. The cracks on his body made it impossible for him to heal in a short period of time. "Damn it, what's going on? How is this possible?" The green-robed man screamed crazily. He had never encountered such a thing. Although his main body could not go out, when his clone went out he could dominate the entire elf forest. No one had ever been his match. Even the octatic treasure snake did not dare to fight against him. But now, the scene in front of him really shocked him. He even found it hard to believe. What kind of sword chi is this? "Damn it, I don't believe it." The green-robed man roared crazily. He activated the green bell, and a terrifying aura rushed out like a long river. The entire void was torn into pieces like a piece of paper. Buzz. Lin Xian waved his sword chi and resisted it head-on. His sword chi was extremely terrifying, and every move carried the aura of a dragon. This was a shocking battle. In an instant, the two of them exchanged more than 100 moves. Each time, the green-robed man was injured. However, the green-robed man's recovery ability was too strong. After being injured so many times, he did not weaken at all. Instead, he became stronger and stronger. Boom. Boom. "Not good, kid, be careful. He seems to be plotting something." Suddenly, the dark red divine dragon screamed, and his expression became incomparably solemn. Lin Xian frowned and looked in all directions. The green-robed man laughed loudly. "Haha, you know it too late. Now the array formation has been broken. Soon he'll escape. At that time, let's see how you'll die." It turned out that the battle between Lin Xian and the green-robed man affected a wide range, and the power was too strong. The array formation here was specially used to seal the green-robed man, so the green-robed man's attacks were helpless. However, Lin Xian was different. Lin Xian was an outsider. His sword chi was blasted in all directions, finally causing cracks to appear in the array formation. It was about to shatter. At this moment, the green-robed man absorbed all the sword chi and swept it in all directions. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the formation, and a huge crack appeared. The formations in the surroundings shattered one after another. It was as if the shackles binding the entire space had been broken. The green-robed man let out a long howl. His aura soared into the sky, covering a radius of millions of miles. He stood in the void like a fiend god and roared at the sky. "Free, I'm finally free. Brat, I have to thank you for this." He was simply too happy. The dark red dragon's face darkened. What should he do? "Don't worry," Lin Xian said coldly. He didn't expect this formation to do anything. Even if the other party escaped, so what? Killing him was as easy as flipping his hand. Lin Xian soared into the sky. The aura in his body burst forth, transforming into a terrifying dragon roar, enveloping his entire body. "Damned brat, you dare to attack me?" The green-robed man lowered his head and looked down with a ferocious smile. "Previously, due to the formation, I couldn't use my full strength at all. Now we'll let you see my true strength." He formed a seal with his palms. Suddenly, the green bell below expanded like a green mountain. It shook gently, and millions of people were completely shattered by the sound waves. "Go to hell." A dragon-shaped sword appeared in Lin Xian's hand, erupting with a sharp light. A dragon's roar resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The sword slashed out and landed on the huge bell. With a bang, the bell was sent flying, and countless cracks appeared on it. "Damn it, how is this possible?" The green-robed man's voice stopped. It was as if someone had grabbed his neck. His eyes were wide open as if he had seen a ghost. It cracked. His Dharma treasure actually cracked. This was simply too unbelievable. One had to know that his Dharma treasure was very close to a sacred artifact. However, at this moment, it was cracked by the other party's sword. What kind of sword chi is that? In the next moment he lowered his head. When he saw the light sword flickering with a dragon-shaped aura, his entire body trembled. Damn it, what is that? Why do I feel so scared? The green-robed man was stunned. Oh no. He turned around and wanted to leave. However, how could Lin Xian give him the chance? He slashed out with his sword and rushed into the sea of clouds. The terrifying sword qi drowned the entire world. With a splurt, the sword pierced through the green-robed man's body. Do you think that I can't do anything to you without the formation? Lin Xian's voice was cold. The sword qi on his body was monstrous. He was like a god of death, releasing a biting cold sword intent. Impossible, damn it. How can you make it so that my body can't heal? The green-robed man's body began to tremble. This time he could barely maintain his shape. The large cracks on his broken body could not be removed at all. Damn it, I don't believe it. Fuse. The green-robed man roared and quickly fused. In the next moment, he temporarily suppressed the cracks on his body and charged over. His entire body turned into a green bolt of lightning and rushed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian scoffed coldly, not knowing what was good for him. Boom. The dragon-shaped sword qi slashed out, and his body bloomed with light. This sword directly split the green-robed man into pieces again. The green bell in his body was also shaken out. This time, the cracks on it were even larger. Then with a boom, it shattered into pieces. The green-robed man also vomited blood and was sent flying. His body scattered all over the ground. Impossible, damn it, this is impossible. His broken body screamed crazily on the ground. His head was extremely ferocious, as if he had gone mad. He really could not believe that the other party was so powerful. More importantly, his body could not heal. One had to know that he had seen attacks that were stronger than the other party. Those attacks could instantly turn him into a bloody mist, but he could quickly recover. Now that he was seriously injured and could not recover, that was what terrified him the most. The immortal body that he was so proud of could not be used. Immortal body. It's nothing in front of me. Lin Xian snorted coldly and charged in front of him. He swung out thousands of sword qi and pierced the body again. In the end, the other party was turned into a bloody mist. And in the bloody mist, a green stone appeared in the void. A terrifying aura flowed on it, bringing with it a powerful vitality. A Dao stone. And it was a wood Dao stone. Su Chen's eyes burst with a piercing cold light. He reached out his golden hand and directly grabbed the wood Dao stone in his hand. Then he grabbed it forcefully and pulled it in front of him. He got it. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. This trip could be considered complete. In the distance, when the dark red divine dragon saw this scene, it also heaved a sigh of relief. Ah, damn it, you dare to steal my Dao stone? Give it back. Chapter 3261. Accompanied by a furious roar, the blood mist quickly condensed into a ball of green light. Then it turned into the figure of the green-robed man. This time, there were no more cracks on the other party's body. From the looks of it, the other party must have used some secret technique to forcefully heal. However, the other party's aura was weaker than before. Kid, do you think that my recovery ability is strong because I have the Dao stone? You're too naive. Even without the Dao stone, I'm still incomparably strong. Moreover, without the Dao stone, my attack power is stronger than before. I'm still immortal. The green-robed man roared crazily. The aura on his body suddenly soared. Lin Xian coldly snorted. With a wave of his hand, the dragon-shaped sword shadow shot out. It turned into a giant dragon that circled in the sky. Suppress. With a cold shout, the giant dragon charged towards the green-robed man. The green-robed man's body trembled. He felt that he was being suppressed and could not use any strength at all. The body that had just condensed was pierced by thousands of sword qi and nailed to the ground. Great Dragon Sword Spirit. Damn it, could it be the Great Dragon Sword? He screamed crazily. When he saw the dragon-shaped sword shadow, he remembered a legend. There was a sword in the world that had a strong attack power that could destroy everything. That sword was called the Great Dragon Sword. However, the Great Dragon Sword had disappeared for tens of thousands of years. But now it had reappeared? Thinking of this, the green-robed man instantly understood. No wonder the other party was so strong. No wonder the other party could injure him. It was because of the great dragon sword. Damn it, you're actually the descendant of the great dragon. He was terrified. Let me go. If the two of us work together, we can definitely sweep through the entire star field. Your attack is strong, and my recovery is unparalleled. If the two of us work together, we're definitely the strongest, the green-robed man said. Lin Xian did not say anything. The dark red dragon walked up and sneered. You want to cooperate with us? You overestimate yourself. He smashed the other party's head with his dragon claw. With a bang, the other party's head was smashed into pieces. However, it soon began to slowly merge back together. It was covered with cracks. Damn it, you can't kill me. I'm an immortal existence. It can actually heal. The dark red dragon was surprised. Fuck you. He began to swing his dragon claws, striking out 40,000 times in an instant, hitting his opponent directly. His body shattered and he turned into a bloody mist. He had received 40,000 strong attacks. But gradually, the wounds healed, and there were many cracks on his body. There were small cracks on it. It was extremely frightening. Damned snake, don't let me find a chance. Otherwise, I will tear you into pieces. A sharp voice could be heard. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Cut the crap, I'll send you on your way now. A piercing light burst forth from his eyes. The great dragon sword spirit released millions of rays of light that completely enveloped the green-robed man. No. The green-robed man screamed. He might not be afraid of other people's attacks, but he had no way of blocking the great dragon sword's attack. The other party could really obliterate him. Don't kill me, I'll tell you a secret, a huge secret. Please let me go. The green-robed man screamed. His aura was much weaker than before. Lin Xian waved his hand and stopped. Instead he asked coldly, Secret? What secret? If I tell you, will you let me go? Humph, you don't have the right to bargain with me now. Tell me first. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The green-robed man gritted his teeth. This elven planet was not ordinary, there was a shocking treasure on it. There was an immortal divine medicine on this planet. Something that even great emperors would covet. With it, you will be able to live for a second lifetime, and live for tens of thousands of years. Spare me and I will bring you to find the immortal divine medicine. How about it? Immortal divine medicine. The dark red divine dragon exclaimed as its eyes lit up. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The immortal divine medicine was indeed magical, but that thing wasn't something he could obtain now. It was something exclusive to great emperors. Once someone obtained it and the news spread, it would definitely cause the various worlds to chase after them crazily. Moreover, Lin Xian was no longer a youth who didn't know anything. He knew that the immortal divine medicine itself was very powerful. Without extraordinary strength, it was impossible to obtain it. Not to mention the two of them. Even if two saints worked together, they might not be able to catch the immortal divine medicine. The immortal divine medicine is indeed very tempting, but it's a pity that it's useless to me. If you can tell me the whereabouts of the other Dao stone, I can consider sparing your life. Lin Xian's current priority was to obtain the Dao stone. Damn it, you don't want the immortal divine medicine? You want the Dao stone? How would I know what a Dao stone is? Indeed, he had been suppressed for countless years, so how would he know about the outside world? Not to mention the Dao stone. He had obtained this wood Dao stone by chance. Since you don't know, there's nothing to talk about. Now I'll send you on your way. Lin Xian continued to activate the great dragon sword soul. No, damn it, listen to me. The green-robed man wanted to say something, but in the next moment, his voice was swallowed by the merciless sword light. When everything disappeared, a bottomless void appeared on the ground. The green-robed man's soul had long been destroyed, and not even a drop of blood was left behind. Lin Xian let out a breath and recalled the great dragon sword soul back into his body. In the next moment he revealed a smile. Great! The wood Dao stone was in his hands. Now he already had 2 crystals in his hands. Moreover, he had obtained an unexpected surprise on this trip to the elven planet, which was the Eye of Time. This was definitely a good life-saving item. Let's go, let's leave. Lin Xian waved his hand, and called out to the dark red divine dragon and the snow-white monkey. But at this moment, the void shattered and an incomparably black spear instantly streaked across, charging towards Lin Xian. Not good. Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he felt an incomparable sense of danger. In this situation he couldn't dodge, so he could only resist head-on. The nine-young divine body blossomed with light as it resisted the black spear. In an instant, the black spear collided with his body and with a bang, endless demonic chi erupted. Black clouds rolled and pitch-black demonic patterns appeared on them, flickering with a demonic light. Damn it, there's actually someone else. The dark red divine dragon's expression also changed, but he wasn't too worried. Lin Xian's nine-young divine body was extremely powerful. This bit of attack shouldn't be able to do anything to the other party. But just as he thought about it, he was stunned. His eyes even widened. He couldn't believe it. This was because the black spear had pierced through Lin Xian's body and sent Lin Xian flying. Damn it, this was impossible. The dark red divine dragon screamed. How was this possible? The nine-young divine body was pierced through? This shouldn't be. The nine-young divine body was so powerful and had an unparalleled physique. Even a quasi-sacred artifact couldn't penetrate it at all. However, this scene left him extremely shocked. Could it be that this was a sacred artifact? The successor of the nine-young divine body was only SOSO. He was like an ant, unable to withstand a single blow. Chapter 3262. The void within a million miles had completely turned into darkness. Demonic clouds surged as if black clouds were pressing down on the city, making it hard for people to breathe. A stalwart, pitch-black man descended from the sky. He floated in the air and looked down with a cold gaze. There was indeed someone. The dark red divine dragon exclaimed. The other party's aura was too powerful, and his demonic aura was overflowing. Who exactly was this person? He thought about it and realized that he had never heard of this person before. Lin Xian is in danger. Little White was also a little anxious. Damn it, who are you? Why did you ambush us? The dark red divine dragon roared, his voice resounding through the 9 heavens. There was actually a dragon? That demon godlike figure looked at the dark red divine dragon, his eyes shining. You should be his companion, right? Looks like you'll have to go to hell with him. Damn it. Do you think you can be arrogant just because you have a sacred artifact? The dark red divine dragon's face turned cold. Wait a minute, his expression suddenly froze. Such monstrous demonic clouds, such domineering words, and they were specifically targeting Lin Xian. He had addressed Lin Xian as the successor of the 9 sons when he first came up. Could it be that this is? The dark red divine dragon sucked in a breath of cold air. Could it be that you are the great demon? You can actually recognize me. It seems that you have some knowledge. The great demon sneered. Damn it, it really is the great demon. The dark red divine dragon's face turned completely cold. He didn't expect to encounter a great demon here. Could it be that the other party was on this planet? Or was the other party here to kill Lin Xian? One had to know that not only was Lin Xian the successor of the great dragon, but he was also the successor of the 9 sons. And the great demon was the sworn enemy of the 9 sons' lineage. Previously, when Lin Xian obtained the 9 sons' inheritance at Black Demon Cliff, he already knew about this. The previous generation's 9 sons' sword saint and the great demon had perished together on Black Demon Cliff. Before this, the 9 sons' lineage and the great demon lineage were also fighting each other, and could be said to be sworn enemies. Who would have thought that the great demon would actually find Lin Xian again? It seemed that things were going to be troublesome. Every great demon was an extremely terrifying and earth-shattering great demon. Therefore, he couldn't help but worry about Lin Xian. So you're a great demon. A coughing sound came from afar, followed by a cold voice. The great demon turned around and forgot that he was still alive. He noticed that Lin Xian had stood up. Lin Xian was pierced through by the black spear from the left side of his body, and out from the right. At this moment, Lin Xian stood up, blood flowing from his body. Humph. He reached out with his large golden hand and grabbed the black spear. With a forceful pull, he pulled the spear out. Then he nailed the spear into the ground. Light blossomed from his body as the law of wood and the longevity art rapidly circulated. The 9 young divine body instantly recovered. To be able to recover so quickly, the great demon was slightly stunned. You were actually able to easily erase the demonic chi on it? He was simply too surprised. Wang. With a wave of his hand, the great demon summoned the black spear from the ground and held it in his hand. Then, the black spear drilled into his hand and disappeared. Using the great destruction spear to deal with you is a waste of talent. Come, successor of the 9 young divine body. Let me see how strong you are. The great demon's body fell down. Lin Xian didn't say anything else. His eyes flickered, and his body shone brightly. He used the 9 young divine body to the extreme. Wang. As he took a step forward, the void within 1,000,000 miles started to crumble rapidly under the might of his foot. It was too terrifying. At this moment, Lin Xian used the 9 young divine body with all his might, making him look like a golden god of war. He stomped his foot and turned into a beam of light that shot into the sky. Boom. He waved his fist like the sun, shining in all directions. The dazzling light made it impossible for people to open their eyes. At this moment, even a half-saint would be frightened and their scalps would go numb. A cold light burst out from the great demon's eyes. What a powerful aura. It seems that you've cultivated the 9 young divine body well. I hope you won't disappoint me. He laughed sinisterly and attacked decisively. He sent out dozens of palm shadows in a row. The terrifying palm carried a monstrous demonic aura, and it was like 1,000,000 demonic mountains that fell down. The sky was clearly divided into 2 halves. The space where Lin Xian was shrouded in light and flames. The space where the great demon was filled with demonic aura, and was incomparably dark. Boom, boom, boom. Their attacks collided in the sky, and countless thunderous sounds spread out from the 2 of them to millions of miles away. At this moment, no place was intact. The dark red divine dragon had long retreated. He knew that this was a fated battle, and he couldn't interfere at all. He could only retreat a few meters away, and watch the battle nervously. The snow-white monkey also jumped on his body, and its big black eyes stared ahead without blinking. In front of them, Lin Xian and the great demon had turned into 2 black shadows that kept colliding. Every strike was extremely terrifying. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them quickly separated and stood in different places. Although it was only a blink of an eye, the 2 of them had already exchanged close to 100,000 blows. Lin Xian stood in the void, the 9 young divine fire burning all over his body, and the law of fire surrounding him. He became incomparably solemn. This was the great demon. He was too powerful. He was so strong that it exceeded his expectations. To be honest, he had never seen an opponent who was so powerful that he could be on par with him. Although it was only a short exchange, he could clearly feel that the other party was very strong, far stronger than the green monster from before. As expected of an old enemy, Lin Xian didn't have the slightest carelessness. After all, the previous successor of the 9 young divine body was killed by the great demon. Not bad, not bad. To be able to block my attack, it really surprised me. The great demon's eyes burst with a biting cold light, and his demonic aura surged into the sky. With a roar, he charged over like a demon king. Berserk demonic aura tore heaven and earth apart. Behind him, the black demonic aura was like a huge black waterfall, falling from the sky and sweeping over. It was densely packed and blotted out the sky and earth. The sky was collapsing, and the earth was shattering. The great demon just rushed over directly and didn't use any divine abilities, and it was already so terrifying. In my opinion, you're just SOSO. Today I'll kill you. Lin Xian also let out a long roar. The boundless flames on his body burned fiercely, engulfing half the sky. The law of fire fragment accompanied him, waving non-stop. The 2 of them fought together again. The earth trembled, and the sky collapsed. It had already affected a radius of millions of miles. The dark red divine dragon had already been pushed further away. His expression was incomparably solemn. Too powerful. Each of these 2 people was a peerless powerhouse, a top genius. Any one of them could sweep through an area on the ancient starry sky path. Chapter 3263. The Elven Planet was a very special world. The forest here was vast, so there were many spirit herbs and resources. Other than Lin Xian and the other experts also liked to come to this place. At this moment, many cultivators descended from the sky and landed on the Elven Planet on their spirit boats. There were quite a number of these people, and they came from the 8 great families of the 8 worlds. At this moment, they had joined forces and were preparing to explore the Elven Forest. Countless powerhouses and prodigies came out of the spirit boats and flew down quickly. Many of them laughed. There are many spirit herbs here. Last time I picked a 10,000-year-old spirit herb here. This time, there are so many of us, we might have even more gains. A 10,000-year-old spirit herb? When the surrounding prodigies heard this, their eyes burned with passion. Don't worry, we will definitely be able to pick 10,000-year-old spirit herbs this time. Otherwise, we won't be willing to go back. Many people laughed out loud. Of course, some older generation figures said that they had to be careful. The Elven Planet was very primitive and ancient, and there were many unknown creatures and beasts. They couldn't be careless. Don't worry, Elder, we know. The young prodigies nodded, but their eyes were disapproving. They were all prodigies of their families and were extremely dazzling existences in a star world. The weakest among them had comprehended a power that was close to the Tao, and many of them had reached the half-sage realm. A few of them had even participated in the Abyss ranking, and they had achieved extraordinary results in the ranking. Among them, there were 3 orange-ranked top 10, and there was even 1 purple-ranked. With so many of them together, there was no need for the older generation of the family to come, and they were enough to sweep through everything. But at this moment, a handsome man frowned slightly. I received news that Ziyu Hao seems to have come to the Elven Planet as well. Let's not meet him. As soon as these words came out, many people were moved. Ziyu Hao was ranked 10th in the Abyss rankings. His strength was extremely terrifying, and they didn't dare to fight him head-on. However, a beautiful girl laughed. Don't worry, with senior brethren around, that Ziyu Hao isn't that scary. That's true. They looked at the figure in front of them and immediately felt at ease. And Xiongfei was ranked 11th on the Abyss rankings. Although he was ranked behind Ziyu Hao, the two of them were only 1 rank apart. Moreover, Xiongfei's strength had advanced by leaps and bounds recently. It could be said that he was full of ambition. Among their 8 great families, it was already spread that Xiongfei absolutely had the strength to defeat Ziyu Hao. In fact, if he participated in the Abyss ranking this time, he would definitely be able to increase his ranking by more than 2 places. Therefore, with Xiongfei around, even if they encountered Ziyu Hao, they were not afraid. Furthermore, apart from Xiongfei, they still had many geniuses and senior cultivators on their side. No matter how powerful Ziyu Hao was, could he do anything to them? Thinking of this, they all smiled. The group of people quickly turned into streams of light and shuttled into the forest. However, as soon as they arrived at the elf forest, they were stunned before they could even pick the spiritual herbs. Their expressions became incomparably grave. That was because there was an incomparably intense light coming from the depths of the forest. Half of the demonic chi was overflowing, almost covering half of the elf forest. On the other side, a brilliant light shone, as if a sun had fallen into the mortal world. What's going on? What happened? Could it be a unique treasure of heaven and earth? A peerless treasure was about to appear? The young geniuses cried out in surprise, while the eyes of the others burned with passion. Such a worldly anomaly was definitely a rare treasure. Let's go and take a look. Everyone be careful. A senior half-saint warned in a deep voice. The group of people moved forward quickly. They left the outside and set off towards the depths of the elf forest. As soon as they stepped into the depths of the elf forest, their bodies stiffened and they stopped there. They felt an incomparably terrifying energy in front of them that swept in all directions. Moreover, the forest in front of them had long been reduced to ashes. There were terrifying large cracks everywhere in the sky, each of which could swallow a person. The violent energy swept in all directions. It was chaos. The ground was even more cracked, and there were no trees left, let alone other treasures of heaven and earth. All of them were reduced to ashes. Damn it, someone was fighting. Those senior cultivators were shocked, and the young warriors' scalps were numb. What kind of person could affect tens of millions of miles? They were really stunned. They did not dare to go forward. Among them, Xiangfei's eyes were wide open as he stared straight ahead. He looked at the monstrous demonic qi with an incomparably grave expression. Could it be that person? Young Master knew who it was? The other senior half-saints also frowned and asked. They did not know. And Xiongfei nodded. Someone had seen such a monstrous demonic qi before. It was said that an extremely terrifying figure had appeared. The moment he appeared, he killed many young geniuses and half-saints, causing everyone to tremble. In the end, someone investigated and said that it was done by the legendary Great Demon. Great Demon? Are you talking about the one in the demon race? Many seniors felt their scalps go numb when they heard this. They were no strangers to such legends. After all, great demons were extremely terrifying existences. That's right, and Xiongfei also nodded with difficulty. The others gasped. They didn't expect that the legendary great demon would actually appear and engage in a life-and-death battle with someone else on this planet. But what made them even more puzzled was that the one with the monstrous demonic qi was the great demon. So who was the person with the golden light? What kind of person could fight with the great demon? And from the looks of it, they were evenly matched. They didn't know. Hence, they were all prepared to go and watch. But they had just flown tens of thousands of miles when an extremely dazzling light suddenly erupted in front of them. The berserk energy was like a wave that could destroy the world, sweeping towards them. Not good. Retreat. These people retreated crazily. The void that they had just stood in was shattered. The young cultivators were so frightened that their bodies trembled. Previously, they were full of confidence and didn't put anyone in their eyes. They thought that nothing here could threaten them. But now, facing the aftermath of the battle between these two, they didn't even have the ability to resist. The difference was simply too great. Watching from afar, those seniors also sighed and used their respective divine abilities, wanting to explore the area ahead. And Xiangfei's eyes flickered as he looked ahead. Ahead. After the shocking attack, they temporarily calmed down. Lin Xian retreated with a grave expression. There were cracks on his body. They were caused by the impact of the demonic qi. Buzz. The divine flame on his body surged and burned the demonic qi, healing his body. The great demon opposite him also frowned. He was also injured. Some parts of his body were charred black, and one of his arms was deformed. Ka. His bent arm quickly recovered, but his face was terrifyingly dark. Brat, you've completely angered me. The great demon was very unhappy. He didn't expect the other party to be so strong and be able to fight evenly with him. It seemed that he had to use some methods. Chapter 3264. With a furious roar, the aura on his body erupted once again. Endless demonic aura surged and swept towards Lin Xian. The demonic aura became extremely terrifying, as if it wanted to devour everything. It wanted to devour Lin Xian's flesh and flames. In an instant, Lin Xian was shrouded by the demonic aura. However, he was still fearless. He unleashed the law of fire fragment to the extreme. The flames burned fiercely. 9 suns opened the sky. He would use his peerless fist to destroy everything. Boom boom boom. The endless demonic clouds were pierced through by him, creating many empty areas. The flames on his body ignited these demonic shadows and burned them fiercely. Clouds of black smoke rose into the sky. How can mere demonic aura suppress me? Today I'll completely incinerate you. Lin Xian roared and stood in the void. The flames on his body rotated rapidly between his palms. Then they formed a golden crow. He held it in his hand and blasted it forward. The golden crow was born like a sun. It turned into a shooting star and blasted all the demonic clouds away. This golden crow was too real. It was so lifelike that every single feather could be seen clearly. Its eyes were bright and full of expression, as if it had been bestowed with life. It seems that you have other means besides the 9 suns' divine body. Seeing this scene, the great demon frowned and then sneered. But it's good. I'll let you see my superpower. Demonic origin wheel. He raised one hand and endless demonic aura quickly condensed in his palm, forming a black wheel that spun rapidly. On it, there were pitch-black law fragments. Buzz. Then he threw the black wheel out. The void was pierced through. With this attack, the entire world seemed to have exploded. Countless black lights flickered, like black crows dancing. It was an extremely strange sight. Half of the sky had turned into black light spots. They flickered as if black stars were breathing. Damn it, what is this thing? The dark red divine dragon frowned. He didn't know what it was, but he knew that the energy it contained was too terrifying. In the distance, Xiongfei and the others were even more dumbfounded. The black light spots in the sky made them tremble. They estimated that a single light spot could kill a half-saint. Was this the legendary great demon? This was too terrifying. The older half-saints were also terrified. The bodies of the young geniuses were trembling. They could not wait to run away. One of the white-haired old men's pupils constricted as he screamed. Not good. That's a devil origin wheel. I've read about this kind of divine ability in ancient books. It's said to be extremely terrifying. It's specifically used to injure one's soul. As long as one's soul is touched by it, one's soul will be damaged. It was very likely that he would be killed directly. Even if he didn't die, his cultivation would stagnate, unable to advance any further. What? How could it be so terrifying? A single black spot was already so terrifying. At this moment, there were tens of millions of black spots in the sky. It's over. That person is probably in danger. That's right. I wonder who it is that's fighting the great demon? Lin Xian had a dignified expression. He naturally felt a sense of crisis. One had to admit that this great demon was truly terrifying. He could unleash such a terrifying divine ability just by raising his hand. Humph! He snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, he urged the flaming golden crow to quickly charge over. The two collided, erupting into a dazzling light screen. However, Lin Xian frowned. He could clearly feel that the golden crow he had unleashed was rapidly shrinking. Those black spots pierced through the flames with astonishing power. Enraged, they quickly charged toward him. In an instant, the flaming golden crow was completely penetrated. With a wail, it turned into a monstrous fire. It landed on the ground. The black spots that filled the sky flickered with terrifying light and enveloped Lin Xian. Kid, let's see how you're going to stop this. The great demon sneered. Lin Xian roared angrily. Once again, a terrifying black law fragment flew out from his body. As he waved his arm, it turned into streaks of sword light that surrounded him like a black river. The law of annihilation. As soon as this law appeared, it formed a destructive force that collided with the black spots in the sky. The silent collision was like the melting of ice and fire. The frightening black spots on the black sword mark instantly dissipated rapidly, like moths flying into a flame. It was extremely strange. What was going on? Could it be that it was blocked? The half-saints and geniuses in the distance were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. The terrifying demonic origin will had been blocked. Who on earth was that person? The dark red divine dragon breathed a sigh of relief, and watched with rapt attention again. The great demon frowned. He was able to block his demonic origin wheel. That power was the power of decomposition and dissipation. His eyes were somewhat cold as he stared at the black sword light. Suddenly he frowned. It seems that you have mastered more than one law, but you have only blocked it. Let's see how long you can block it. He snorted coldly. Competing with the power of laws? He would not lose to the other party. In the sky, the two kinds of law forces collided with each other. It was extremely terrifying. Every blow could kill a half-saint. Lin Xian frowned. He waved his hand and a sword chi shot out. It was like a fire dragon that soared into the sky. This slash of the sword cleaved apart the black spots, and the sky was once again illuminated by the light. No way, the demonic origin will had been repelled? The people in the distance were stunned. Previously they were evenly matched. But suddenly, a large part of the demonic origin will had been destroyed. What was going on? The young geniuses were already stunned. And Xiongfei also did not understand. Only a few powerhouses of the older generation were extremely shocked. Sword Chi. That person had struck out Sword Chi and destroyed the demonic origin wheel. What Sword Chi? Could it be that he was a pure sword saint? That was too terrifying, wasn't it? These people exclaimed. He was definitely a super powerhouse. Otherwise, he would not be able to contend with the great demon for so long. The great demon also frowned. Sword chi. How did the other party's sword chi become so terrifying? 9 revolutions of demonic origin wheel. The great demon roared. His black hair fluttered and his hands danced. Suddenly, the huge wheel in the sky began to rotate. Every time it rotated, it would bring with it a strange and overflowing power. After the 9th rotation, the power was extremely strong. Between heaven and earth, demonic chi was vast and mighty as if a demon god had awakened. That powerful aura was like a wave, vast and mighty. Boom. Boom. The power of the 9 revolutions of demonic origin suppressed the sword chi, and the law of annihilation once again. It was as if a part of the world was pressing down from the sky, trying to suppress Lin Xian. What a terrifying power. This was simply a brand new world. This great demon was really too terrifying. The powerhouses of the 8 great families were extremely shocked. They estimated that all of them could not block this attack. They would be turned into ashes in an instant. The dark red divine dragon also frowned and became worried. This great demon was too powerful. Boy, hurry up and use all your strength. Boom. Chapter 3265. With a stomp of his foot, the earth beneath him trembled, and fragments of the law of earth quickly condensed on his body. Rise! With a furious roar, the law fragments formed a vast mountain range that stretched for thousands of miles, forming a terrifying land that soared into the sky. The mountain range was incomparably terrifying, as if it was a boundless land. What's this? In the distance, the powerhouses of the 8 great families almost popped their eyes out when they saw this scene. Did he lift up the entire land? They were too terrified. No, it's the law of earth. It's the law of earth. This person also has the law of earth, and its power is terrifying. What, the law of earth? The young geniuses were dumbfounded. The flames from before must have been the law of fire. That pitch-black sword light must have been another law. Now that he's using the law of earth, who is he? Isn't he comprehending too many laws? Boom boom boom. Above, the pitch-black sky pressed down, and the boundless mountain range below turned into a land that soared into the sky. The collision of heaven and earth was the ultimate power. Boom boom boom. This scene was like the end of the world. It was like a pair of boundless hands had slapped heaven and earth together. The void within tens of millions of miles was once again shattered into chaos. Everyone could only retreat frantically as everything in front of them was swallowed up. The terrifying apocalyptic scene lasted for a very long time before it slowly dissipated. The people of the 8 great families widened their eyes and looked carefully. The young geniuses' voices trembled. That's impossible, right? Only a saint would be able to survive this kind of world-destroying energy. Otherwise, the 2 of them will die together. Not to mention these young geniuses, even the veteran half-sages probably had the same thought. In fact, they were even prepared to wait for the storm to calm down before they went forward to see who was fighting. However, they were soon stunned. And Xiangfei's pupils constricted as he looked into the distance and exclaimed, "Look, their figures have appeared. They're not dead." Everyone raised their heads and looked up at the starry sky. In the void tens of millions of miles away, 2 figures stood opposite each other. Light erupted from their bodies. Both of them had injuries on their bodies. It was obvious that the shocking attack from before had impacted both of them. However, this impact was not fatal to them. The great demon roared. The demonic chi of the 9 heavens and 10 earths gathered towards him. Whoa. The cracks on his body healed, and his aura became stronger again. On the other side, Lin Xian also snorted coldly. His 9-yang divine body released its divine aura, and the law of wood and longevity secret art circulated rapidly to absorb the energy of heaven and earth. This caused his body to rapidly heal. In an instant, it was as good as new. Heavens, are these 2 people immortal? The members of the 8 great clans were all scared silly. Against such a violent attack, they would have been reduced to ashes. No one below the Saint realm could survive. Fortunately, although these 2 were injured, they recovered in an instant. What kind of physique was this? That wasn't right. It was rumored that the great devil body was incomparably terrifying. It was one of the strongest physiques in the myriad worlds. It was normal for it to be able to recover quickly. However, what kind of physique did the person who fought with the great demon have? Why was he so powerful? He was definitely a peerless expert, and it was very likely that he had one of the strongest physiques in the universe. Otherwise, it would be impossible to achieve such a scene. They were really curious. Who was it? Was he fighting with the great demon? Especially a prodigy like in Xiongfei. Thousands of thoughts ran through his mind. Was it someone on the Abyss leaderboard? If so, it must be someone in the top 5. Who was it? Zhao Wuliang? Long Zhaotian? Or was it the new successor of the great emperor, Yin Nantian? Or rather, it was the mysterious Di Ling who ranked first on the leaderboard. He didn't know, but if it was a young prodigy, it was very likely to be one of these people. If it wasn't a young prodigy, then it had to be a super expert. If that was the case, he couldn't be sure who it was at all. In the void, Lin Xian's body recovered, and he looked forward with a cold gaze. That's all you've got. Do you have any more tricks up your sleeve? If not, then you can go to hell in peace. You want me to go to hell? Aren't you a little too arrogant? Don't forget that in the battle between the 9 Yang divine body and the great demon clan won more. Therefore, there's no exception today. You will be killed by me. The demonic origin wheel is only one of my most powerful abilities, but it's not my strongest ability. It's not even in the top 3. Now, I'll let you witness my unparalleled great divine ability. The great demon's voice was like a clap of thunder, clearly spreading throughout the world. When the experts of the 8 great clans heard this, they were terrified. What? The demonic origin wheel was only one of his abilities, and it wasn't even in the top 3? Heavens, just how terrifying was this great demon? That godlike figure was probably in danger. The attack he used to block the demonic origin wheel was probably his strongest attack. The great demon was extremely terrifying. Once he appeared, he could sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Very few people were his match. Moreover, according to records, the great demon had a mortal enemy, and it seemed that he was the successor of the 9 Yang divine body. The successor of the 9 suns possessed the 9 suns divine body, which was extremely terrifying. Once he matured, he would be one of the super experts in the universe. Moreover, he was very promising on the path to becoming a great emperor. Yet, such an existence was more likely to lose than win in a battle against the great demon clan. One could imagine how terrifying the great demon was. The young geniuses were stunned when they heard this. This legend was like a myth. And Xiangfei's pupils constricted. Wait, mortal enemy. What did you say? The great demon clan and the 9 Yang divine body were mortal enemies? Yes, they were mortal enemies. Every time they appeared, there would be an earth-shattering battle. As soon as an elder finished speaking, his body trembled, and his eyes widened. Could it be? He didn't finish speaking, but his eyes were already filled with shock. The other older half-sages also seemed to have thought of something, and their scalps went numb. In the next moment, their eyes were like rainbows as they stared at the figure in the distance who was burning with divine flames. He looked like a god of war. Heavens, terrifying flames, and a super strong physique that could compete with the supreme demonic body. Moreover, the flames were monstrous like the sun. Could it be the 9 Yang divine body? As soon as these words were said, the other experts and geniuses of the 8 great clans were all stunned. Their minds were blank. After a long time, they finally reacted and screamed. What, the 9 Yang divine body? Was that person the successor of the 9 Yang divine body? Heavens, they almost scared the hell out of them. The successor of the 9 Yang divine body was fighting the successor of the great demon clan. This was a fated battle. In the ancient legends, the fated battle between the great demon and the 9 Yang divine body was one of the most exciting battles on the ancient path of the stars. Countless people praised that battle, and it evolved into a historical myth that spread throughout the universe. In the past, they could only imagine the battle scene in their minds when they heard the older generation talk about it. But now, they seem to be witnessing this fated battle with their own eyes. Chapter 3266. After coming to this conclusion, the experts of the 8 great families were stunned. This was a battle that was hard to come by in 10,000 years. Among them, a few white-haired elders immediately yelled and took out their formation records. They had to record the battle down. The eyes of the others also lit up. That's right, the fated battle between the great demon and the 9 sons was only a legend. No one had ever seen it with their own eyes. But now they were seeing it with their own eyes. This was a blessing that they had cultivated for several lifetimes. However, they did not plan to be the only ones to see it. They wanted to use an array formation to record this battle. They wanted to spread the news throughout the universe. They could not let such a battle be drowned in this vast forest. They had to let more experts and geniuses see it. Thinking of this, the people of the 8 great families quickly took out array discs and formed an array formation to record the battle ahead. At the same time, they quickly retreated a few million miles to ensure their safety. The array formation flickered, clearly reflecting everything in front of them. In front of them, the void shattered. Lin Xian frowned. Was he going to use a new divine ability? Well, it was time to end it. To be honest, from the moment he became the successor of the 9 sons, he knew that there would be such a battle in his life. Moreover, he knew that his opponent was very powerful and was not weaker than the successor of the 9 sons. In fact, it was even stronger. But so what? Lin Xian had grown to this day. What kind of battle had he not experienced? Although today was a fated battle, he was not afraid at all. On the contrary, he felt his blood boiling. Buzz. With a wave of his hand, the black annihilation laws around him disappeared. The earth laws under his feet also disappeared. On his body, divine fire surged into the sky. The fire laws became more and more tyrannical. Since it was a fated battle and his opponent was the great demon, he would naturally use the 9 sons' inheritance to fight with his opponent. Sure enough, seeing the energy change in Lin Xian's body, the dark red divine dragon sighed. Sigh, this kid is too stubborn. Why is he talking about rules with the great demon? If it were me, I would use all kinds of methods to kill the other party. Of course, he knew that Lin Xian would not do that. Lin Xian wanted to make the 9 sons' bloodline famous. Oh, he doesn't plan to use other divine abilities? You want to use the 9 sons' inheritance to fight? Brat, do you think you can contend against him? The great demon could clearly sense the change in Lin Xian's strength. Immediately, a trace of disdain appeared in his eyes. To be honest, if you didn't have other divine abilities and laws, you would have been killed in the previous battle. With just your 9 sons' inheritance, you can't kill me. It's impossible for you to contend against me. Humph. Lin Xian didn't say anything. He wanted to prove everything with his actions. Lin Xian let out a long roar as his body blossomed with terrifying flames. At this moment, Lin Xian looked like a supreme sun war god, his hair wildly dancing in the wind. The 9 heavens and 10 earths trembled along with him. At this moment, he did not hold back in the slightest. He unleashed his 9 yang divine body to its limits. The 9 yang divine body was one of the strongest physiques in the universe. His physique was strong and his attacks were strong. Once the 9 yang divine fire was used, it could burn everything. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a god of fire as he charged out forcefully. He stretched out his palm, and it was like a terrifying mountain that slammed down from the sky. In an instant, the void in front of him shattered, and the ground below sank once again. This terrifying power shocked the people of the 8 great families in the distance. Their hands that were controlling the array formation trembled. It was too terrifying. The other party's physique had become stronger again. Could it be that he hadn't used his full strength before? That's right, Lin Xian's previous battle with the great demon was just a probing attack. Now he had already sensed that the great demon was not simple. He wanted to fight with all his strength. At this moment, when he attacked with all his strength, the power was incomparably terrifying. It was even more terrifying than when he used many kinds of laws previously. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. His palm landed and spread out in all directions. From afar, it was as if the entire sky was shattered by his palm. The golden palm was very fast. In an instant, it arrived in front of the great demon. Before the palm landed, The terrifying storm had already rushed onto the great demon's body. With a crack, countless cracks appeared on the great demon's body. The demonic energy on his body was suppressed until it dimmed and burned. This scene made the dark red divine dragon suck in a breath of cold air. This was the first time he had seen Lin Xian use the nine-yang divine body to such an extent. In the distance, the people of the 8 great families were even more dumbfounded. Was this the successor of the nine-yang divine body? It was too terrifying. Who could contend with such a physique? The great demon's expression also changed. He let out a long roar, and the demonic energy of the 9 heavens and 10 earths surged towards him. The supreme demon body quickly healed. In the next moment he roared, courting death. Chaotic demon fist. The black fist was like a meteor, rushing into the clouds and colliding with the brilliant palm. An earth-shattering sound rang out. This strike was even more terrifying than the collision of the sky and earth from before. Moreover, what was even more terrifying was that previously, when the two of them used great magical powers to create the sky and earth, the collision was only one. But this time, after the two of them exchanged blows, they unleashed a terrifying attack. The great demon's chaotic demon fist was obviously a terrifying fist technique. Coupled with his supreme demon body, it was terrifying to the extreme. On the other side, Lin Xian used the nine-yang divine palm. The monstrous palm kept falling, and countless golden rays of light rushed into the clouds. It was an earth-shattering collision. Each blow could easily kill a half-saint. The two of them exchanged more than 100 moves, and the sky and earth cracked. Everywhere they passed, everything was turned into ashes. Not good run. The people of the 8 great families were scared out of their wits. They realized that this time, the two of them were moving as they fought. Very soon their side was affected. These people fled as if they had gone mad. They brought the formation with them and flew further away. Fortunately, this primeval forest was too vast. Although it had affected tens of millions of miles, it was not a problem for the primeval forest. Unless someone could blow up the entire planet with one blow, the forest would always exist. The people of the 8 great families once again came to a safe place. They controlled the array formation and recorded the scene of the battle in the distance. In the distance, a scream was heard. The great demon's fist was grabbed by a large golden hand and clenched tightly. The fist was directly crushed. Not only that, the great demon's entire arm was also turned into ashes. Damn it, get lost! The great demon roared and swept out his right leg. Like a heavenly blade, he kicked directly at Lin Xian. The power it carried shattered the void within millions of miles. With a boom, the kick landed on Lin Xian's arm, causing Lin Xian to retreat. His arm was also broken. However, both of their physiques were super strong. In an instant they recovered. The next moment they fought again. Chaotic demon fist, demon dance. He roared angrily and used one of his fist techniques to kill. For a moment, countless terrifying fist shadows appeared in all directions. Each of them was like a black sun. They were extremely dazzling. These black fist shadows danced between heaven and earth like demons, and then flew toward Lin Xian together. In an instant, the space where Lin Xian was sealed, forming a closed cage. Chapter 3267. This terrifying scene made the dark red divine dragon nervous. In the distance, the people of the 8 great families exclaimed, "Heavens, what a terrifying divine power!" The successor of the 9 sons was in danger. Yes, how was he going to defend himself? Facing such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian snorted coldly. The light on his body shot into the sky as he quickly circulated all the energy in his body. The flames on his body formed a huge flaming sword in his hand. 9 Sun Sword Technique. At this moment, Lin Xian displayed a sword technique that was unparalleled in the world. Streaks of sword chi bloomed with resplendent light. They were like fire dragons that shot into the sky. The terrifying power could suppress everything. Pung, 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 pung. Although the surrounding black fist shadows were terrifying, under the 9 Sun Sword Technique, they were still shattered into pieces. After the fist shadows were shattered, the great demon did not retreat. Instead he roared again. He formed a seal with his palms and his demonic aura filled the sky. With my demonic aura, tainted with my demonic blood, I will be a demon for all eternity. Heaven and earth will shatter. At this point, he opened his mouth and spat out a drop of bright red blood that surged forward. Instantly, heaven and earth shattered. The black fists turned into demons that bared their fangs and brandished their claws. Then they formed a blurry figure. That blurry figure was too terrifying. It was impossible to tell what it was. One could only tell that it was a Taoist. The figure sat cross-legged in the void and chanted a strange demonic scripture. Boom, boom, boom. Under this strange sound, the 9 heavens and 10 lands quickly split apart. The space around Lin Xian continued to shatter. The flames on his body were suppressed once again, and they even began to tremble. One could imagine that even if the 9 suns' divine body was powerful, it would not be able to withstand such a strange scene. Lin Xian snorted coldly. No matter how you change, I will slash you with my sword. His voice rang out like a sword god. Terrifying flaming sword chi surrounded him. The flaming sword in his hand exploded with unparalleled light. When the sword slashed out, it was like an eternal immortal light that could destroy all demons. The demonic aura in the sky trembled violently as if ice and snow had met the sun and quickly melted. Boom, boom. The blurry figure collided with the 9 suns' sword technique. It was earth-shattering. But in the end, that blurry figure was still unable to block this terrifying sword chi and vanished into thin air. The terrifying devil chi had completely disappeared. In the distance, the great demon groaned and spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it. You can actually break my demon summoning scripture? How is that possible? His eyes widened in disbelief. The demonic summoning scripture was so terrifying that he dared to guarantee that no one below the saint plane would be able to resist it. Even if he was facing a saint, he was confident that he could slaughter him. But now his demonic summoning scripture had been shattered by a single sword strike from his opponent. This scene was too shocking. In the distance, the people of the 8 great clans were also dumbfounded when they saw this scene. The great demon was actually injured. Heavens, could it be that this generation's successor of the 9 suns was so terrifying? He wouldn't defeat the great demon, would he? If that was the case, the entire universe would be shaken. Although you are powerful, you are still a demon. Lin Xian shook his head. You are no match for me. Brat, you're too arrogant. Don't think that you can defeat me just because you've injured me. Let me tell you, you still have a long way to go. With a long roar, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Tens of thousands of miles of the void were all shattered. His black hair danced wildly, and a black phantom appeared in his hand. It was like a millstone of destruction that kept spinning. Lin Xian held the 9 suns' divine sword in his hand, and faced the terrifying world-destroying demonic disc. This attack was like 2 worlds colliding. The energy that was released was too terrifying. Endless light shot into the clouds, breaking through the sky and flying into the outer realm. Roar! The great demon roared. He was incomparably powerful. After that attack he charged over again. The world-destroying demonic disc in his hand was even more terrifying. It was as if it could really destroy everything in the world. Lin Xian also roared and soared into the sky. Endless flaming sword energy burned fiercely on his body. The terrifying sword swept across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The 9 suns' sword technique and the world-destroying demonic disc kept colliding. Everything that was affected by the 2 energies was turned into ashes. In the distance, the cultivators of the 8 great clans swallowed their saliva when they saw this scene. It was too terrifying. Was this still a half-saint? Why did it feel like 2 saints were fighting? Kid, you can't do it. My great demon lineage will kill your 9 suns' lineage forever. This great demon was incomparably powerful. The demonic aura on his body was monstrous. It was truly terrifying to the extreme. Kill me? You don't have the ability. Lin Xian snorted coldly and did not say anything. However, the sword energy on his body became even more biting cold. The sword chi struck the world-destroying demonic disc, causing it to tremble nonstop. Cracks even appeared on its surface. One could imagine how terrifying the sword energy was. Boom. In the end, Lin Xian split the world-destroying demonic disc in half. The violent energy turned into a black sea that slammed in all directions. The entire world seemed to have been split apart by the sword. The great demon retreated. A sword mark appeared on his body, almost splitting him in half. Blood flowed out of his body in an instant. I've said it before. You're no match for me. Lin Xian was like a sword god. His voice was incomparably sharp. In the distance, the people of the 8 great clans were shocked. Heavens, the great demon was injured again. Could it be that the 9 sons lineage was really going to win this time? That's great. On the other side, the dark red divine dragon was also excited. From the looks of it, Lin Xian shouldn't be in any danger, right? Damn it. Demonic aura surged on the great demon's body. Demonic runes flickered and his cracked body recovered. However, the world-destroying millstone in his hand did not appear again. His eyes were incomparably gloomy. You can actually break my world-destroying divine ability. Kid, you've really exceeded my expectations. However, you asked for it. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. With a cold bellow, the black spear from before appeared in his hand. It blossomed in the sky and crushed countless voids. The great demon held it in his hand. Buzz. The moment the black spear appeared, it brought with it countless illusions. In the illusions, there was a sea of blood and a mountain of corpses. Countless headless experts were wailing and dancing in the air. That terrifying scene caused one's scalp to go numb with just a glance. What kind of weapon was that? How could there be such a terrifying scene? When the people of the 8 great clans saw this scene, they almost knelt on the ground. It was too terrifying. The moment this aura appeared, it was as if it could destroy them. Especially those young geniuses. When they saw the terrifying illusions, they almost fainted. The older generation people also exclaimed. Could it be that this was the treasure of the Great Demon Clan, the Great Destruction Spear? The Great Destruction Spear was an extremely terrifying existence. It was said that it had been stained with the blood of many saints. Countless half-sages had died in its hands. Chapter 3268. The young geniuses held their breaths as their eyes widened. When had they ever seen such a terrifying weapon? Many people exclaimed. The great demon was already very terrifying. Now that he was holding a peerless weapon, could the successor of the 9 sons still resist? No one knew. From the looks of it, the successor of the 9 sons had suppressed the great demon. However, now that the great demon had taken out the Great Destruction Spear, he would definitely be able to suppress his opponent. If the successor of the 9 sons couldn't take out a powerful weapon, he would definitely be defeated. That's right. The older generation experts were also frowning. An ordinary half-step sage weapon was nothing in front of the Great Destruction Spear. They kept discussing. In the distance, the dark red divine dragon's pupils shrank when he saw this scene. Damn it, it's that weapon. The weapon had shocked him too much. He had thought that it was a sage weapon, but now it seemed that even if it wasn't, it was close. There were terrifying illusions on it that made his hair stand on end. No, that kid's blazing Qilin sword was inferior to the Great Destruction Spear. What is he going to use? The dark red divine dragon frowned. After taking out the Great Destruction Spear, the great demon's aura rose again. He looked coldly in front of him. Kid, you should be proud that you made me use the Great Destruction Spear. Now you can die in peace. He took a step forward and waved the Great Destruction Spear, thrusting it forward. Boom. The sky seemed to be pierced through by something. Countless cracks instantly appeared as a black stream of light pierced towards Lin Xian. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of him. What a terrifying weapon! Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He could feel the ferocious aura of the black spear. In the next moment, he pulled out a flaming sword and swept it out. The flaming sword was caught by him and instantly bloomed with light. The sword trembled non-stop and turned into a blazing Qilin, rushing in all directions. This was the blazing Qilin sword that he had obtained from the fire spirit cave. Boom. The sword swept out and slashed at the black light in front of him. In the next moment, an earth-shattering sound rang out as an intense collision erupted. The fire Qilin transformed into a Qilin, roaring in all directions. However, the Great Annihilation Spear was too terrifying. With one strike, the fire qilin was pierced through. With a clang, the blazing qilin sword was split into two. What was it that could shatter a half-saint tool? Lin Xian was extremely shocked. In the next moment, he was once again sent flying by this force. After flying for over 1,000,000 miles, Lin Xian crashed into the boundless void before finally landing on the ground. On his shoulder, there was a terrifying bloody hole. Around it were countless cracks that covered his entire body. This blow almost tore him into pieces. The people of the 8 great families sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Even the 9-yang divine body was shattered. This was simply too terrifying. The 9-yang divine body was so powerful that it could suppress the supreme devil body of the great devil. They even suspected that his physique was comparable to a saint's physique. However, even with such a strong physique, it was unable to withstand this attack. One could only imagine how terrifying the might of the attack was. If it were any other half-saint, their body and soul would have been destroyed long ago. Rumor had it that the Great Annihilation Spear had been stained with the blood of more than one saint. It seemed that this legend was very likely true. Damn it, is that kid alright? The dark red dragon also became nervous. He could not help but want to save him. However, in the end he did not make a move. He knew that this was a battle of fate. Only Lin Xian could face it alone. Boom. Under the ground 1,000,000 miles away, countless rocks cracked open. A figure stood out. It was Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian's body was covered in cracks. He looked like a broken porcelain. It was an exceptionally shocking sight. What a terrifying attack. He was also extremely shocked. At this moment, the great devil quickly flew over and rushed near him again, looking down at him from above. You're not dead yet? It seems that your physique is beyond imagination. But so what? Can't you block my second attack? The great annihilation spear in his hand shone with a demonic light again. The surrounding sea of blood and mountains of corpses became more solid, as if they were really going to appear in the world. Lin Xian's 9-yang divine body vibrated and released millions of rays of light, quickly repairing the cracks. At the same time, a piercing cold light burst out from his eyes. He looked at the long sword in his hand. The original blazing qilin sword was now broken. This made him sigh. The blazing qilin sword could be said to be a top half-saint weapon. It was extremely sharp. However, it was still inferior to the great annihilation spear. Shaking his head, Lin Xian put away the blazing qilin sword. It seemed that he could only use that one. As he spoke, he quickly waved his hand. A dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared in his hand. As soon as the dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, the 9 heavens and 10 lands quickly collapsed. Countless sword chi rushed into the sky like lightning. Crack, 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 crack. Various visions of heaven and earth danced wildly. Thousands of miles away, the powerhouses of the 8 great families trembled. A trace of fear appeared in their eyes. It was as if a sword light had streaked across their heads. In the next moment, they felt the sabers and swords in their hands tremble nonstop. What was going on? They held their weapons tightly. Their eyes were filled with deep shock. In the next moment, they looked into the distance. When they saw the green dragon-shaped sword shadow floating in the void, they were all stunned. Heavens, that was a long sword. When the long sword appeared, it caused a vision of heaven and earth and shattered the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Just the aura that appeared was so terrifying. They were really stunned. The power displayed by the dragon-shaped sword was not any weaker than the great annihilation spear. The successor of the 9-yang divine body actually had such a terrifying weapon. It seemed that the outcome of this battle was uncertain again. These people were extremely shocked. Previously, they had thought that the successor of the 9-yang divine body was going to lose. Now it seemed that the outcome was still unknown. It was no wonder that the battle between the 9-yang divine body and the great demon was called one of the most dazzling battles on the ancient path of the stars. Now, it seemed that he lived up to his reputation. Although the two of them were only half-sages, the divine powers and power they displayed had already surpassed that of other half-sages. They were not inferior even to a true sage. Even now, the two of them gave off the feeling that they were two sages fighting. The surrounding young elites were stunned. What? No way. They had the strength to kill a sage? A sage was an existence that transcended heaven and earth. No matter how powerful the two of them were, how could they kill such an existence? They really did not dare to believe it. However, the experts of the older generation sighed. A sage was indeed an existence that transcended heaven and earth. However, the weapons in the hands of the two of them were too terrifying. The great annihilation spear had been stained with the blood of a sage more than once. Although they did not know what kind of weapon the other party's dragon-shaped sword shadow was, in terms of power and the vision of heaven and earth, it was definitely not weaker than the great annihilation spear. Chapter 3269. Hearing that, the Sky Prides were shocked. And Xiongfei began to tremble violently. He was ranked purple on the Abyss leaderboard, and could be said to be a top and dazzling Sky Pride. However, compared to a sage, he was insignificant. But now, there were two people who were as young as them who had the power to kill a sage. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. The great demon's face also darkened, and there was a hint of seriousness in his eyes. To be honest, in his opinion, the other party was definitely dead because no matter how strong the other party was, he couldn't block his spear of destruction. But now, the other party took out a long sword that was not inferior to the spear of destruction? Damn it, what was that? The great demon's face was gloomy, and his eyes were like a lamp as he stared at the dragon-shaped sword shadow in front of him. In the next moment, his eyelids twitched. Could it be that thing? But it shouldn't be. How did he get that thing? He was extremely shocked. On the opposite side, Lin Xian held the dragon-shaped sword shadow, and in the next moment, the sword shadow erupted with endless power. Lin Xian's eyes flickered, and the dragon-shaped sword shadow became more and more solid as if it was a real sword. This time, Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul to use it as a weapon. To be honest, if the other party didn't take out the spear of destruction, he wouldn't have taken out the dragon-shaped sword shadow. Do you think you're the only one who has a weapon? After Lin Xian held the dragon-shaped sword shadow, he snorted coldly. The dragon-shaped sword shadow in his hand bloomed with incomparable light, as if it wasn't a long sword but a real dragon. As Lin Xian waved his arm, the dragon-shaped sword shadow roared and slashed out. This slash caused the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Sword light was everywhere in the sky and on the ground, devouring everything. Even the demonic chi was penetrated. Boom. On the other side, the spear of destruction also attacked crazily. The two collided. This time, the power was even more terrifying. It had already spread to a radius of 30 million miles, and it was still spreading. Retreat, retreat 50 million miles away. The people of the 8 great families roared crazily. The dark red divine dragon also pierced through the void and retreated quickly. Within 50 million miles, the scene was simply too horrifying. Everything was reduced to ashes. This was practically a fight between two saints. Boom. After that strike, the great demon stood in the void. He held the great destruction spear in his hand and pierced through the heavens and earth. He was like a demon god. Mysterious demonic runes flickered on his body as he exuded a terrifying aura. He was like a true peerless demon king. Light of destruction. With a loud shout, the great destruction spear in his hand danced wildly. A terrifying black light covered the sky and surged forward. The great demon's black hair danced in the wind as he devoured the demonic energy of heaven and earth. He unleashed a supreme technique, wanting to kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian was swallowed up by the black light. His surroundings were pitch black, and the sword chi on his body was suppressed and dimmed. Humph! As for him, he snorted coldly. His 9-yang divine body blossomed with incomparable light. The dragon-shaped sword in his hand also stabbed out, colliding with the great wave annihilation spear. The heavens and earth collapsed, the sword chi shattered, and the demonic energy dispersed. Lin Xian opened his mouth and sucked all the shattered demonic energy into his body, as if he was drinking water. Boom, boom, boom. All the demonic energy in his body let out earth-shattering sounds. However, it was soon suppressed by Lin Xian. It was used to temper his body. Seeing this scene, the great demon snorted coldly, and the great destruction spear in his hand moved again. The underworld reappeared. Following that cold voice, the second strike was unleashed. Around the great destruction spear, countless black lights accompanied the sea of blood and the mountains of corpses, forming a world. It was a pitch-black land with countless corpses buried on it. They were all the corpses of peerless powerhouses. After death, they still emitted a terrifying aura and terrifying light. There were also blood of various colors flowing on it. It was as if hell had appeared in the void. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian appeared on the black land, surrounded by a terrifying scene. It emitted a terrifying aura that wanted to refine him. In the distance, the people of the 8 great families screamed when they saw this scene. The underworld. Heavens, this was the legendary land of death in the underworld. It could definitely refine everything and take away one's life force. Even a sage would be turned into ashes if he stayed there for a long time. What? So powerful. The surrounding young geniuses were shocked. Was this the legendary underworld? It could take away one's life force, and even a sage couldn't escape. At this moment, it was used to deal with the successor of the 9 sons. Could the other party block it? Lin Xian was in the underworld. He felt a cold aura that wanted to devour his life force and blood. Humph. He snorted coldly and stomped his foot. The underworld shook continuously, but it didn't shatter. Useless kid. My underworld is not an ordinary illusion. You can't break it. The great demon's voice was cold and there was a cold smile in his eyes. Can't break it? Lin Xian raised his head and looked at the sky. Flames burned in his eyes and his body shone, blocking the surrounding black aura. In the next moment, he looked around at the terrifying underworld and said coldly, "Today I'll break it for you." 9 suns split the heavens. Lin Xian let out a long howl as he gripped the dragon-shaped sword with both hands. The aura from his body continued to burst forth like a sun, emitting a dazzling light. 9 suns split the heavens, the ultimate move of the 9 suns sword technique. When the sword slashed down, it seemed to split the heavens and earth. Boom boom boom. The underworld under his feet trembled violently. The terrifying corpses and blood sea around him also collapsed. Soon, a crack appeared in the world and it became bigger and bigger. Finally, with a crack, it split into 2. It shattered. The other party really split the underworld. This scene made the people of the 8 great families unable to believe it. The dark red dragon heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian flew out of the crack and quickly rose into the air. The dragon-shaped sword in his hand slashed down again. It was another 9 suns split the heavens. This time he slashed at the great demon. The great demon's eyes were round as he roared. Endless demonic aura surged from his body. He didn't believe that the other party could break his underworld so easily. However, at this moment, he didn't have the time to think. The other party was charging at him, which made him extremely angry. Boom. The great spear of destruction in his hand kept spinning. The demonic runes on his hand illuminated the world. The demon god's fury. Facing the 9 suns split the heavens, the great demon once again used his ultimate ability. At this moment, the great demon's body flickered. An illusory demonic figure in armor rose from his body. Together with the great spear of destruction, they surged forward. The black figure was like a peerless demon god that had awakened from the ancient times. The moment he appeared, he covered the endless void. With a roar, the galaxy shattered and the sun and moon fell. This scene was really terrifying to the extreme. Chapter 3270. Amidst the violent roar, the phantom of the demon god quickly split apart and finally disappeared between heaven and earth. Not only that, the great demon also spat out a mouthful of blood. A terrifying crack appeared on his body, almost splitting him into 2 halves. On the other side, the fiery sword chi that filled the sky also disappeared. Lin Xian held the great dragon sword soul once again and stood in the void. In the distance, the people of the 8 great families were stunned when they saw this scene. Heavens, what kind of weapon is that? It can actually suppress the great destruction spear. Crack crack. A crisp sound rang out. Numerous cracks appeared on the great demon's body, covering his entire body. Then with a bang he broke into pieces. Broken. The great demon's body was broken into pieces. The experts of the 8 great families couldn't believe it. Ah! The great demon screamed like a madman. His broken body quickly healed, and his eyes burst out with a piercing light. Terrifying demonic chi surged, and the demon god's shadow appeared behind him once again, revolving non-stop. At this moment, the world was constantly shattering. Buzz! The great demon and the demon god's shadow behind him quickly merged. His body burst out with a black light, and the great destruction spear in his hand was extremely sharp. At this moment, the 9 heavens and 10 lands were shaking, and the entire world seemed to be about to shatter. Ah! The great demon roared, as if a real demon god had awakened. Kid, you've angered me. I want you dead. Lin Xian snorted. The dragon-shaped sword in his hand burst out. An endless sword chi protected him. The 9 yang divine body shone brightly, and the mysterious runes on it flickered with a terrifying power that could shatter everything. Kill! The two of them roared and charged forward again. The peerless divine weapons in their hands clashed non-stop, and every strike was earth-shattering. It was a peerless battle. The two of them fought with all their might, and all kinds of terrifying divine abilities and laws were waved without holding back. You can't defeat me. The great demon's voice was exceptionally terrifying. Lin Xian snorted. There was no point in talking. Let's fight. The sword chi in his hand became more and more piercing. The terrifying dragon-shaped sword shadow hit the great destruction spear, causing it to tremble nonstop. The great demon's arm also trembled. Damn it! With a furious roar, an incomparable light erupted from his eyes. His eyes seemed to have transformed into 2 black vortexes that could devour everything. As far as the eye could see, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Countless large cracks appeared in the sky. In the distance, the experts of the 8 great clans felt their hearts beating wildly. Many of them vomited mouthfuls of blood, and almost fainted. It was too terrifying. What kind of gaze was that? With a single glance, it could pierce through tens of millions of li, shattering mountains and rivers. Even though they were so far away, they still felt their souls tremble. What kind of person was he? A casual glance was enough to kill a half-saint. The aura of the great devil rose once more. It was as if he had fused with the great destruction spear in his hand. Every strike of his seemed capable of piercing through everything. These 2 gazes swept out, causing cracks to appear on Lin Xian's body. However, Lin Xian let out a furious roar as his body rapidly healed. The great dragon sword soul in his hand pierced through the heavens and earth. Kill! With a furious roar, the sword chi on Lin Xian's body merged. He was like a supreme god of war, splitting the heavens and earth. Carrying flames that filled the sky, he rolled over and collided with the great destruction spear. In the next moment, endless light erupted. Nothing could be seen in front of him. However, soon screams were heard. Even the heavens and earth were split in half. The boundless demonic chi and sword chi were also separated. Everyone saw an unforgettable scene. The great devil was split in half. Impossible. You can actually suppress my great destruction spear. What exactly are you? Even an ordinary sacred artifact can't suppress the great destruction spear. The great devil's broken body spat out a few words with difficulty. He was too shocked. Was the great destruction spear very powerful? Lin Xian sneered, and the sword light in his hand became even colder. Damn it. Could it really be that thing? The great devil's body trembled. Something terrible came to his mind. The great dragon sword. You actually have the great dragon sword. To be honest, the dragon-shaped sword shadow made his scalp tingle. He could only search his memory for the great dragon sword. It seems that you're not too stupid to be able to recognize it. Lin Xian sneered. If you have any last words, leave them. His sword chi surged out again. Get lost. The great devil roared crazily and waved the great destruction spear to block. However, he was still sent flying. There were even more cracks on his body. His eyes were filled with endless anger. Damn it! Yin Nantian dared to lie to me. He was furious. To be honest, he thought that the other party was only the successor of the 9 sons. He could definitely kill the other party with the great destruction spear, but he didn't expect the other party to have the great dragon sword. This was an offensive saint art of the world. The successor of the 9 sons and the great dragon sword could definitely block his great destruction spear. He could even suppress it. However, he didn't know any of this. He didn't know that Lin Xian had the great dragon sword. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in such a hurry. He would at least wait until he broke through to become a sage before killing the other party. Damn it, Yin Nantian was too despicable. He must have known about it, but he didn't tell him. His sinister intentions could be imagined. The great devil was furious. On the other side, Lin Xian also frowned. What was going on? Why was the other party shouting Yin Nantian's name? Could it be that this matter had something to do with Yin Nantian? His face darkened when he thought of that. Could it be that Yin Nantian leaked his information and told the great devil? That was why the great devil was here to have a fated battle with him? A cold light appeared in his eyes when he thought of that. Yin Nantian deserved to die. After he dealt with the great devil, he definitely wouldn't let him off. Kid, you actually have the great dragon sword. That's unbelievable. Let's end this battle here. I'll take your life when I break through to the sage realm. The great devil stood in the void with a cold expression and wanted to leave. Lin Xian sneered. Aren't you too naive? This is a fated battle. Do you think I'll let you leave? He slashed the mountains and rivers with his sword and blocked the other party's path. You dare to stop me? The great devil suddenly turned his head. His eyes turned into two black vortexes that could melt everything in the world. Boom, boom, boom. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. A million-mile black hole appeared in the void. However, that energy was destroyed by Lin Xian's sword. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. So what if I stop you? I'm still going to kill you today. Sword chi erupted from his body and swept through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The endless sword chi formed a world of the sword path that descended from the sky. Scram! The great devil roared. A demonic disc appeared in his left hand, and he directly rushed forward, destroying all the sword chi. At the same time, he soared into the sky and pierced through the void with the great destruction spear. It seemed that he wanted to leave. Chapter 3271. This was a fated battle. And it was also a battle of life and death. How could he let his opponent leave? If his opponent left, then he would always be a hidden danger. This was because once his opponent's strength increased, he would come to kill him. He would not leave such trouble for himself. Therefore, this time he would directly finish off his opponent to prevent future troubles. This scene happened too suddenly, because no one expected the great demon to escape. One had to know that this was a fated battle. They would definitely fight to the death. Why would his opponent suddenly escape? The dark red divine dragon was also stunned. In the next moment, he swung his dragon tail and instantly chased after the great demon with the snow-white monkey. 50 million miles away, the people of the 8 great families were also stunned. Heavens, what did they see? The great demon had escaped, and the successor of the 9 sons had actually chased after him. The experts of the older generation were drooling. Was the fated battle going to end just like that? From the looks of it, the successor of the 9 sons should have the upper hand. This time, the successor of the 9 sons was really too powerful. The young warriors also cried out in alarm. However, a few old elders shook their heads. It was impossible. From the looks of it, the successor of the 9 sons did not seem to want it to end so quickly. This is a huge pursuit. Let's hurry up and take a look. They also rose into the air and flew into the distance. Of course, they did not dare to fly too close. Soon, they laughed bitterly because they realized that they were overthinking. Even if they flew at full speed, they would not be able to catch up with their opponent. They could only follow Gua based on the world-shaking energy they'd encountered along the way. In the void, the great demon transformed into a demonic shadow and flew quickly, bringing with him endless demonic clouds. His speed was extremely fast. Ordinary half-saints could not catch up to him at all. However, he was confident that no half-saint could catch up to him. He even had a way to escape from a saint. But soon, the great demon frowned and his expression became incomparably cold. That was because he realized that his opponent's aura was behind him. Damn it, how is this possible? He can actually catch up to me. Impossible. The great demon hurriedly turned his head and looked over. Indeed, he saw that his opponent was flying rapidly tens of millions of miles away. A sharp sword light sliced through everything and was quickly chasing after him. Damn it, how can he be so fast? The great demon turned his head and accelerated again. Kid, are you going to chase after him? The dark red divine dragon followed behind as well. Lin Xian said, that's right, I'll go after him. Ruffian dragon, you follow behind them. Don't show your face just in case. The dark red dragon nodded and followed from a distance. In front, Great Demon had already flown around the elven planet and returned to the elven forest. However, he didn't expect that the other party was still following him. Damn it! With a furious roar, a cold glint appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, the demonic chi on his back circulated rapidly, forming a pair of black wings. The black wings flapped gently, and his speed exploded. The void shattered as he flew up into the sky. Do you want to leave? Lin Xian shouted coldly. Stepping on a dragon shadow, his body was covered in sword light. Like a giant sword that reached the heavens, he also charged forward. But soon, Lin Xian froze and came to a stop, floating in the void. Disappeared. The other party's traces had actually disappeared. This greatly surprised him. The dark red dragon following behind him was also shocked. Not good. He probably used some secret technique to teleport away, right? Hearing this, Lin Xian's face turned terrifyingly gloomy. At the same time, in the sky above the elven planet, a figure appeared in the void of the universe. It was the Great Demon. At this moment, the Great Demon's expression was incomparably cold. He turned his head to look at the world of stars below as a cold light appeared in his eyes. This time he was too careless. He didn't expect the other party to have the Great Dragon Sword. This way, he wouldn't be able to defeat the other party at all. But it was impossible for the other party to kill him. As a great demon, he had many divine abilities and secret techniques. What he was using now was a super powerful escape technique. Once he used this secret technique, he guaranteed that even saints wouldn't be able to catch up to him. Indeed, in the past, in ancient times, there was a half-step great demon in their race who relied on a secret technique to escape the pursuit of two saints. It should be easy to shake off the other party now. Damn brat, just you wait. When I break through to the saint realm, I will tear you into pieces. With that said, the great demon turned around and wanted to leave. But in the next moment, his body stiffened because he saw a beam of light shooting into the clouds from the huge world of stars below. In an instant, it pierced through countless astral winds and flew towards the outer realm. Not good, it's that brat. This was the aura of the 9 suns. He had just exchanged blows with the other party and could naturally recognize his aura. In the next moment, his expression changed drastically. He turned around and fled. Buzz. The black wings on the great demon's back spread open as he used his secret technique again, and fled into the distance. He didn't even use his spirit boat, and relied on the strength of his physical body to fly in the void of the universe. After using it 3 times, the great demon completely left the planet. He arrived in the depths of the universe. At the same time, above the planet, a golden figure tore through the void and appeared. It was Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian frowned. He actually left. He looked around. The surroundings were cold and pitch-black universe. Occasionally, streams of light would flash by, but there was no sign of the great demon. At the same time, a red figure appeared below. It was the dark red divine dragon. He came to Lin Xian's side and also frowned. Damn it, that guy ran away. Let's hurry up and chase after him on the spirit boat. At this point, the dark red divine dragon's blood surged. They weren't saints yet, so it was too dangerous for them to walk in the void of the universe. Hence, they wanted to take the spirit boat. However, Lin Xian shook his head. The golden light in his eyes flickered as his heavenly secret divine. I scanned the surroundings. Soon he frowned. Disappeared. How was that possible? It seemed that the other party had used that kind of secret technique. Since the other party didn't take the spirit boat, he wouldn't do it either. Aya, do you really want to suppress the other party in all aspects? The dark red divine dragon sighed. It's up to you then. I'll take the spirit boat and follow you. The dark red divine dragon brought the snow-white monkey into the spirit boat. Lin Xian used his heavenly secret divine eye and began to capture the aura left behind by the great demon. He formed a seal with his palms and above his head. A pair of golden eyes appeared in the void of the universe, looking down at the surroundings. The secret technique used by the great demon was very magical and basically didn't leave behind any aura. Not to mention a half-saint, even a saint wouldn't be able to find the great demon as long as they lost track of it. This was the great demon's ability to escape. But he didn't expect that Lin Xian wasn't an ordinary half-saint. Lin Xian had a powerful eye technique and was a prodigy. At this moment, under the full power of his heavenly secret divine eye, he actually captured a trace of the great demon's aura. With this aura, Lin Xian could continue to chase after him. Found it. Chapter 3272. After Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon left, another group of people rushed up from the star realm below. These people were from the 8 realms. They were not floating in the void, but sitting in the spirit boat. They were extremely shocked. Through the array formation of the spirit boat, they looked in all directions. Nothing. They looked at the vast universe around them and were stunned. No, they're too fast. We can't catch up with them at all. An old man shook his head. The other young geniuses were unwilling to give up. They wanted to see the final result. Therefore, many geniuses hurriedly said, "Let's quickly look around and see if there are any traces left behind. Let's follow them." These people hurriedly probed with their souls and searched in all directions. Some even used array formations. However, their expressions soon became very ugly. They did not find any traces. These 2 people were really too powerful. Even when chasing and escaping, they didn't leave behind any information or clues. It was really hard to believe. Forget it, I don't think we can find anything. Why don't we just find a direction to search? As for whether we can find them or not, it will depend on our luck. Moreover, there should be many people who saw this chase. When the time comes, we just need to search according to the information. These people also left. They really could not find them, let alone keep up with their speed. In fact, if it were other half-saints, they would not be able to find them either. Only people like Lin Xian who had the heavenly secret divine eyes could find them. The great demon hid his aura and fled quickly. Lin Xian chased him all the way and left some terrifying aura behind. However, the dark red divine dragon was following behind him. The dark red divine dragon was behind him, specially dealing with Lin Xian's aura and erasing all of it. After all, Lin Xian had told the dark red divine dragon to be careful and take care of him from behind. He suspected that Yan Nantian might be hiding nearby. After all, Yan Nantian was the one who gave him the information. Buzz. In the cold universe, a black stream of light shuttled quickly. If one took a closer look, they would be shocked to see that this figure did not take a spirit boat. Instead, he flew with his physical body, bringing with him powerful air waves and monstrous demonic chi. This person was the great demon. He had been flying for 3 days, and for the time being he didn't feel any killing aura behind him, which made him feel relieved. However, he soon frowned. He had been injured in the previous battle. Moreover, he had exhausted a large amount of energy during this escape, so he didn't have much energy left. He had to rest quickly and replenish his energy. The great demon looked into the distance. Soon he discovered a star. "Let's go to this star." With a loud boom, he flew rapidly towards the star realm below. Soon, he tore through the gale and fell down. The great demon's body was wrapped in demonic chi. The demonic chi and astral winds on his body clashed continuously, causing dazzling sparks to erupt. From afar, it looked like a meteor had descended from the sky, bringing with it a torrential blaze. With a loud boom, the great demon landed on the ground and pierced through the ground. Countless cracks spread out for millions of miles. This scene immediately caused many cultivators in this world to exclaim in surprise. Everyone looked up. They saw light flying in the sky. It was exceptionally dazzling, and it illuminated the entire area. The ground in the distance also began to rumble. What was that? Could it be that a rare treasure of heaven and earth had appeared? It was very likely. This was a phenomenon of heaven and earth. Only an extremely precious treasure could cause such a phenomenon of heaven and earth. Let's go and take a look. Many people soared into the sky, and there was no lack of top geniuses and experts among them. After the great demon landed on the ground, a terrifying deep pit was formed. He didn't leave. Instead, he sat cross-legged in the deep pit and began to recover. He formed seals with his palms and absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. At the same time, he took out a few black bottles from his storage ring. He poured out some spiritual liquid of heaven and earth and swallowed them. Damn it! How dare this guy make me so miserable? I won't let you off. As the great demon recovered, his face was terrifyingly dark. This time, he had indeed done it. Previously, he had traveled thousands of miles and crossed many worlds to hunt down the other party. However, he didn't expect that the situation would take a shocking turn. The one being hunted was actually him. Fortunately, he had a secret technique, which allowed him to escape. Umph. The great demon's expression was cold as he tried his best to recover. At the same time, the surrounding cultivators all rushed over. When they saw the terrifying cracks on the ground and the terrifying aura ahead, they all swallowed their saliva. Is it really a treasure? Why do I feel like a terrifying monster has been revived? Could it be a peerless monster? I don't know. Let's go and take a look. Even if it's a peerless monster, it's not bad either. Its blood, heart, monster core and claws are all treasures. Many people's eyes lit up as if they were hunters who had seen their prey. These people walked forward quickly. The further they walked, the more cracks there were. They were densely packed and extremely terrifying. There was also a black light in front of them that surrounded them. They couldn't see clearly at all. What is it? However, they couldn't walk any further. Many people trembled. Some even vomited blood and flew backward. No, it's too terrifying. The aura ahead is too terrifying. Some people gave up. There were also some top geniuses and powerful experts who braced themselves and flew forward. They used their Dharma treasures, divine abilities and secret techniques to explore with all their might. After walking for a while, they finally came to the front under immense pressure. However, when they saw the situation in the deep pit, they were all stunned. It's a person. It's actually a person. It was a terrifying figure covered in pitch-black flickering demonic runes. That person formed seals with both hands, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered crazily into his body, as if he was cultivating. Who is this person? Which sect is he from? They were extremely surprised. However, at this moment, their hearts trembled because they saw that the pitch-black figure sitting in front of them opened his eyes. His eyes were incomparably black, like two black vortexes that were about to suck in their souls. Many people were shocked and subconsciously retreated. In the next moment, they screamed. They realized that their souls were really sucked out by the black vortex-like eyes. Buzz. Their souls rose into the air and flew forward involuntarily. No. Damn it. They screamed crazily, but soon they flew in front of the other party uncontrollably. In the next moment, the other party opened his mouth and swallowed their souls. How dare you spy on me? You're courting death. The great demon stood up and sneered. He stretched out his soul, and found that other than these people, there were many people rushing over. Chapter 3273. Do you really think I'm a heaven and earth treasure? He sneered and instantly arrived in front of the corpses. With a wave of his hand, he directly drew out the blood of those people, turned it into pure energy, and swallowed it. Demonic runes flickered on his body as he quickly absorbed the energy. If others saw this scene, they would definitely be scared silly. This method of absorbing energy was too terrifying. If others did this, they would probably explode and die in the end. But the great demon was different. He was a demon and cultivated demonic techniques. This kind of crazy absorption was normal for him. The people outside were puzzled. What was going on? Why were there screams inside? Could it be that there was some danger? Just as they were puzzled, they felt the black light around them disappear. Immediately after, a figure walked out. This person was as black as ink and had a tall figure. His body was surrounded by terrifying demonic chi, like a demon god. Who was this person? They looked ahead and saw a figure walking out of the deep pit. They were extremely shocked. Feeling the aura on the other party's body, their expressions became extremely ugly. This place was too evil. It wasn't good to stay for long. Leave quickly. Many people's thoughts raced, wanting to retreat. Some people even took action. In an instant, they retreated tens of thousands of miles. Want to leave? Stay here for me. Demon swallows the world. The great demon sneered. The demonic chi on his body erupted, instantly enveloping a radius of millions of miles. These people couldn't escape at all. Not good. They roared crazily, wanting to escape. But soon, they were swallowed by the demonic chi. In the next moment, not even their bones were left. Their bodies and souls were destroyed. 5 million miles away, there were still many warriors rushing over. But in the next moment, they stopped in their tracks because they discovered that the space in front of them had completely turned black. Clouds billowed and killing intent surged. It was a scene of destruction. And inside, countless screams came out. There were even law fragments waving, but in an instant, they disappeared into thin air. No way, even a half-sage was killed. The scalps of these people tingled as they retreated crazily. The black space in front had already become a forbidden land of death. No one dared to go. Just like that, a day passed. In front it was still pitch black. Everyone hid in the distance in shock and curiosity. They watched. But no one dared to take a step forward. Some people really didn't know. They thought that a demon god had descended. They all began to kowtow to the front. Within the boundless demonic chi, the great demon sat cross-legged. He glanced at the people around him and snorted coldly in disdain. These people were not worth his time. Right now, he needed to absorb the energy as quickly as possible so that he could continue his journey. However, at this moment, the great demon frowned. That was because he could feel a golden sword light shining in the sky. Then, it was as if the entire world was being split apart. It formed a wave of air that spread to both sides. This scene was simply too astonishing. It was as if a pillar of flame had descended from the sky. Heavens, what happened this time? The warriors of Xiafang's world raised their heads to look at the sky. They were all stunned. A miracle. Did another treasure appear? Oh no, it's that guy. Damn it. How did he get here so quickly? The great demon's expression changed. His body swayed and the black wings on his back flapped. He immediately used a secret technique to escape from this world. As soon as he left, the golden light came down and split the black space in half. In the next moment, a tall man surrounded by flames appeared in the void like a god of war. His feet moved through the 8 wastelands, and his eyes carried cyan symbols. He looked down and frowned. He's gone. That guy is quite smart. The person who came was none other than Lin Xian. He snorted coldly and looked around him. When the warriors of the surrounding world saw a person rushing down from the sky, they were so frightened that they knelt down. A god! They kept exclaiming. Lin Xian ignored them. Instead, he sent a voice transmission to Ruffian Dragon. Ruffian Dragon, that guy just left this world. Stay outside and blast him down. In the spirit boat, the dark red dragon was also stunned when he heard that. However, in the next moment he rushed out. He did not attack. Instead, he took out 8 sets of formations. Those formations were the ones that he usually refined. They were 8 peerless killing formations. At this moment, he activated them. They absorbed the power of the sun and moon and circulated it crazily. As soon as the 8 killing formations appeared, they covered the entire world. Immediately, a figure was forced out. How dare you stop me? The great demon roared crazily. The dark red dragon sneered. Get lost. Boom. The sound of a violent collision rang out. An endless light erupted. Fortunately, they had already arrived in the outer realm. The pitch-black universe was illuminated, and cracks appeared on the 8 formations. They were about to shatter. Damn it. Why is this guy so powerful? The dark red dragon frowned. The 8 peerless killing formations can't even withstand a single attack from the other party. However, at this moment, he heaved a sigh of relief. That was because he saw that Lin Xian had made his move. Below, while Lin Xian was transmitting his voice, he made his move. He stretched out a large golden hand and grabbed upward. In an instant, it passed through the starry sky and arrived in the outer realm. The large golden hand directly enveloped the great demon. The great demon could have escaped, but because of the 8 killing formations, he was stopped for a while. However, in that instant, Lin Xian seized the opportunity. In an instant, the golden hand enveloped him. Then the golden hand grabbed him and dragged him down. With a boom, the golden hand dragged the great demon and landed on the ground. Boom. The ground shattered again, and millions of miles of cracks spread out. Those people in the distance were scared out of their wits. They were sent flying by a terrifying force. They scrambled back, their faces full of horror. This was too terrifying. Just who was this person? A casual strike, but the aftermath of that energy was something they could not withstand. Boom. 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 In front, black lightning came directly piercing through the golden light palm. The great demon soared into the sky. He used the great destruction spear to pierce through Lin Xian's palm, and flew into the distance again. Want to leave? Can you leave? Lin Xian snorted coldly and quickly soared into the sky. The great demon's body emitted an incomparable light. Terrifying fragments of fire laws danced in the air, forming a flame giant that roared at the sky. He wanted to completely suppress the great demon. Chaotic demon fist. The great demon did not turn around. He threw out countless fist shadows with a backhand, piercing through the void and charging downward. Buzz. Lin Xian split these black fist shadows with a sword. At the same time he frowned. This great demon's strength had actually recovered again. It was truly shocking. He held the dragon-shaped sword shadow, and terrifying sword energy swept out in all directions. The great demon's pupils constricted, and all the hair on his body stood on end. He could not block the great dragon sword, so he quickly fled. However, he was still hit by this sword energy and flew into the distance, spitting out a mouthful of blood again. 10,000 demon blood sacrifice. The great demon quickly formed hand seals. Demonic energy overflowed into the sky, and these martial artists within 10 million miles suddenly split open, turning into a blood mist. Chapter 3274. They screamed crazily, wanting to beg for mercy. But how could the great demon be merciful? He was using an extremely terrifying and cruel divine power. This divine power needed to refine the cultivators alive, and sacrifice them to the demon god. Within 10 million miles, those cultivators who were watching from afar, and had not run away all had their bodies split apart. Following the guidance of the black chi, they formed black runes. Soon it enveloped Lin Xian. This array formation was extremely terrifying. It caused ghostly wails and wolf howls. It carried an extremely strong resentment, as if it wanted to tear Lin Xian into pieces. Lin Xian could clearly feel that the blood in his body seemed to be ignited and burning. What a terrifying array formation! He snorted coldly and stomped his foot. A powerful aura swept in all directions. He punched out and directly shattered the array formation. However, the array formation quickly healed on its own and charged towards Lin Xian again. Little brat, just obediently go to hell. The great demon sneered. However, this was the truth. Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul to split open the array formation. Boom! A vacuum area was created in the array formation, but it quickly healed. How strange! It could not be completely destroyed. He was too surprised. The great dragon sword soul was so powerful, but this array formation could be reborn. It was really surprising. However, he still created a vacuum area. Therefore, with his speed, Lin Xian rushed out. He charged towards the great demon again. The great demon snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the terrifying array formation came to his side and enveloped him. This was equivalent to having an additional set of armor. Moreover, it was a set of armor that could be restored. Terrifying sword chi surrounded Lin Xian. In his hand, the great dragon sword soul released a terrifying light as he slashed forward. On the other side, the great demon activated the blood sacrifice array formation. Ghostly wails and wolf howls filled the air as if hell had reappeared in the mortal world. The two collided. The great demon was sent flying and spat out a mouthful of blood. A huge crack appeared in the blood sacrifice array formation in front of him. In the crack, all sorts of souls screamed and blood chi filled the air. A vacuum area appeared. The great demonic will revolved, and the blood-colored array formation began to heal. However, he was actually unable to completely heal it. The remnant aura on it was too strong, and it forcefully split the formation apart. Damn it, how could he be so strong? The demon was shocked and his face was really ugly. If it was any other half-saint in his place, then that half-saint would have probably died 1,000 times by now. Moreover, he wasn't an ordinary half-saint. But now he was unable to stop the other party. The black wings on his back appeared once more as the great demon madly displayed his secret technique. This time, crimson light shrouded his body. Clearly, he had activated his bloodline ability. His body instantly disappeared into the void. Not good. The dark red godly dragon unleashed an array formation to isolate it. But this time around, the secret technique of the great demon was extremely terrifying. It disappeared directly from the starry sky. Golden light flickered in Lin Xian's eyes. They transformed into two golden beams of divine light that pierced through the void as he stared fixedly into the distance. What incredible speed! This time, even he was moved. He had to admit that the great devil was indeed a powerful enemy. But this time he was determined to kill him. With a stomp of his foot, he soared into the sky and charged out as well. Soon, the two of them disappeared from this world of stars. Only then did the people in the world below dare to raise their heads. They looked at the shattered void and the remnant sword energy in the sky. They were extremely shocked. Heavens, have these two demon-like figures finally left? The great demon used his secret technique to avoid Lin Xian's pursuit. He flew again. 5 days later, his face completely darkened, because he discovered that the other party had caught up to him again. Damn it, how did the other party find him? He didn't know. One had to know that if he wanted to leave, even a saint couldn't find him. The other party must have some other treasure that could see his tracks. On the 7th day, Lin Xian completely caught up to the great demon. The two of them started a huge battle. The great demon didn't hesitate and directly used the great destruction spear. Lin Xian also used the great dragon sword soul. The two of them fought until the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The two of them fought as they flew. Everywhere they passed, endless light flickered, illuminating the dark universe. Terrifying energy swept in all directions. In the end, the great demon's body shattered and was slashed apart by the sword. He dragged his broken body and used his secret technique again to escape. Just like that, he fled and fought. Lin Xian actually chased after him for more than half a year. During this half a year, the records of the array formations brought back by the 8 great families spread. Everyone knew that an unknown battle had happened in the elven forest on the elven planet. Moreover, it was very likely that it was the most dazzling battle in the past few thousand years on the ancient path of stars. The great demon actually appeared. The successor of the 9 suns was actually so terrifying. Heavens! Was the power of the great demon's great destruction spear so terrifying? It could definitely pierce through a saint. Damn it! What was the successor of the 9 suns holding in his hand? It could actually contend against the great destruction spear? Many powerhouses were shocked after watching the video of the battle. At the same time, they were even more puzzled. Where had the two of them gone? They didn't know. Those people from the 8 great families side. We don't know either. We chased them out of the planet, but the two of them were too fast, and we couldn't catch up at all. This news spread at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, many worlds knew about it. When those young geniuses and older powerhouses saw this scene, they all sighed. Strong, they were simply too strong. Among the half-sages, no one could suppress the other party. In fact, even saints probably didn't have the confidence to suppress these two people. They might even be killed by these two people instead. At the same time, in the distant starry sky, another piece of news quickly spread. Lin Xian had chased after the great demon for more than half a year. This time, he actually came to the vicinity of the Langya star. The Langya star was a very strange star world. In the outer realm, there were countless figures who had come to seek information. These people came from different worlds of stars. This time, the great demon flew to the vicinity of the Langya star. His demonic aura overflowed into the sky. The powerhouses near the Langya star looked at him, and their pupils constricted. Who was this person? The aura on his body was too terrifying. They were facing a great enemy. Great demon, you can't escape. Right at this moment, a biting cold voice came from the distant void. It was like thunder that resounded in all directions. Immediately after, a golden war god figure whose entire body was like fire rushed over. He held a divine sword in his hand and slashed out. A terrifying crack spread in all directions. Not good. When those people saw this scene, their scalps went numb and they hurriedly left. Countless spirit ships flew into the distance, and a vacuum appeared in the universe. The great demon turned his head and looked behind with a sinister expression. Damn successor of the 9 sons, don't go overboard. What? This was the great demon and the successor of the 9 sons. The people who had fled in the distance were stunned when they heard this news. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.